And we're live. All right. All right, everybody. It's Ayam, Sirias. I'm back. We're doing this, which seems to be becoming a regular Saturday night chat because we don't have social lives. And it's good. Today, as we start off, it's myself, Nick, a.k.a. Lamprey, and Cabin Boy, who came in a couple weeks ago and kind of had a whole show dedicated to him. And we might be joined by Sovereign a little bit later and possibly someone else. So let's get right into it. Cabin Boy, you wanted to, and you've been doing a little bit of research yourself, and you wanted to talk a little bit about suicide specifically in the communities, well, let's say the First Nation communities here in Canada. Yeah. So why don't you just introduce us to the idea and what you want to talk about?
Okay, well, suicide is one of the, to me, like the byproduct of like the residential schools, you know. That's where I'm going to start from, is the residential school.
The angle of the residential schools.
Yeah, because that's just like suicide due to, you know, what I've got is that the nuns were abusing young boys and girls.
Jesus.
Mostly boys, right? And some of them, they can't live with it, you know, they just kind of, it gets to them now, you know, after so many years later, right? And that's what they do. They end up drinking a lot. They're drugs. Like now it's like everybody's doing the Oxy 80s and shooting up, right? And that's their way of trying to get rid of that feeling, you know, because they don't feel right being sober.
No, they definitely
So
they definitely spend a little time being sober for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and that leads into the homelessness here in Lethbridge, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, why don't you kind of enlighten me, myself, and anyone listening also on what about these schools, or what were they?
Residential schools.
Residential schools. Yeah. What is that? I don't know much about that.
What it is that it's the Catholic and Anglican churches. They started these schools for the First Nations children, right? What they did is they send somebody to go get all these children, and it's ordered from the government of Canada. They have to go, or the parents go to jail. So they had two choices there, right? Either they're going to get separated. So the I forget somebody that.
I think so. These are schools that were set up for the First Nations people, and this was kind of financed by the religious communities, the church.
Yes.
Catholic schools, Christian schools.
They had priest or nun teaching them, actually stripping them away from their culture, like the language, the way they carry themselves, totally, right?
Yeah.
And like the difference between the residential schools for First Nations children was to destroy them, you know, like colonize them and get them into that white man way of life, right? And for the non-native children that went to boarding school, it was they were taught to advance their life, you know, instead of breaking them down. They just taught them, you know, new ways of life.
They teach, you know, because what did they teach the native? I mean, the schools were integrated, right? I mean, you had First Nation with normal kids, right?
Yes, just children, and there's older ones, or the ones that are older. They've been in through it for, I don't know, 2-3 years.
Okay, I have a question for you. Okay. When was the last residential school?
The last time what I heard, it was in Saskatchewan, Fort Capel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they stopped operating in, I think it was mid-90s or early.
Mid-90s.
Yeah. Okay. But that wasn't so harsh. our residential school, right?
When were the harsh ones?
The ones that were first built up, right? And that's where a lot of the sexual abuse happened to, the young boys
What's the time frame
and
of
girls.
those ones? I need to know a time frame. Like,
A time frame, I'd have to say maybe about 1800.
so you're talking about
uh,
the whole of the
about
19th century, like the whole of the 1800s?
yeah,
Yeah, it
around
was a
there.
form of domesticating Native Americans. So they kind of like forced them to adopt some form of Western culture, and the best way for them to do that was to enroll them in the church. I guess, obviously through the state, through government cohesion,
Mm-hmm.
coercion, whatever you want to call it, and getting them to become more civilized towards Western values.
Western values, Western ideas. And the thing is, though, is I'm really ignorant for the time frame of this kind of stuff, right? Like, it's not something I learned in school, but I always think of like I always think a lot of these things were happening in like the 19th century, early part of the 20th century, and I thought that kind of stuff all ended in like the early part of the last century.
No, I didn't really. I did like a paper on it a couple of years ago, and I was trying to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like what leads to the homeless here in Lethbridge, and that's where it stems from, is the residential schools.
Mm.
And like I see it every day. There's not one day where I see it where they're not around or begging for change and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And what else I knew, like from the homeless, they are like sleeping, drinking everywhere in back alleys, out in public. What the
Oh yeah.
cops do, what the cops do here is they just pick them up. They don't bring them to the jail, to the drunk tank. They just drive them back to the shelter. And I was thinking, what? Why? And they're saying like they have to do paperwork and it clogs up the court system.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're lazy. They don't want to do that shit. They don't want to do their job.
Yeah. No. And like a lot of them, they drink the hand sanitizer or mouthwash.
Oh Christ, yeah. They
I
stink
know.
too when they drink that shit.
Smell, yeah, it just
They smell horrible.
really bad. Like, ugh. And
Hey, did you know that, Nick? That the natives around here they drink mouthwash, man.
Well, that's no different than what the Aborigines do in Australia, so I'm really not surprised.
Yeah.
I just assumed that I assume Native Americans were a little bit more intelligent than Aborigines. I don't, in the hierarchy of IQ, I assume that Native Americans are a little bit more intelligent than Abos.
Well, if you're huffing gas and drinking mouthwash, it probably doesn't do your brain cells a lot of favors.
Right.
I mean,
So I don't understand how does Catholicism and Christianity go to drink, huffing glue and pounding mouthwash? I don't see the correlation with that because most societies that were not brainwashed but were indoctrinated into Christianity don't seem to do those things. Like South Americans, and Central Americans don't do that type of stuff. So I don't understand how did that happen with Native Americans versus Native Americans in Central America? They somewhat assimilated into society, or they've intermarried with Spanish people, and that's that brings on the Hispanic community that is most of Central America today.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, what's the correlate? What do you think the correlation is there, Cabin, between like these schools that you're saying, these Christian or Catholic schools, or this indoctrination into the Western Christian schools for the natives, and how does that translate into their behavior today?
Well, that's what I was saying, is that the homeless, they're the ones that it hit them the hardest, right? And compared to the other other First Nations on the reserve, some of them they had it rough, right? And they're still living life without alcohol and drugs, right?
Mm.
So, like I take my dad for instance, he had it hard. He's scared of needles, right? Because they must have gave him some kind of sedative in residential school, and like he freaks out when he sees one or he knows it when it's going into his arm. He's just like, oh God, oh God. And compared to like maybe one that's living on the street, right?
Mm.
Like they're lost pretty much. And that's like from the residential school, what they went through, like the sexual abuse. Then they started drinking early. And like some of them now, like when I see them, the cops were taught to approach them with compassion, right? Like instead of
Instead of beating the
intimidating.
shit out of them.
Yeah, exactly. And like carrying a gun, say, oh, I'm a cop. You can't do this.
Well, speaking of that, I remember talking to a police officer in the store a while back.
Yeah.
And the Korean guy that I work for, he's pretty forward about his attitude toward the natives, right?
Yeah.
And he says to the police officer, why don't you just, because just to the ones that are like passing out on the street and begging for change and stuff, he's like, why don't you just beat them up? And the police officer goes, I wish it was the 70s again too.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's still a lot of difficult. There's still a lot of animosity. There's not good relations, man. Even today between those Indians that are on the street, like the ones you're talking about, the ones that are constantly intoxicated, the ones that are sleeping on the street. There's still bad relations between them and the community that they're affecting.
right. Yeah.
Whether it be the shop owners, whether it be the police,
Mhm.
whether it just be just the civilians walking around the streets.
Yeah. There's a term called red rage. What that means, when natives approach each other downtown, they don't acknowledge themselves like in a traditional way, right? Just because of the difference in lifestyle. And sometimes I get like that too, right? I just look at him like, oh, you better not bug me.
Yeah.
You better just leave me alone. And most of them do nowadays, right? But it was before, it was just constant. Oh, do you have this? Can you give me this?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them in Blackfoot to go away, right? And then they just kind of get amazed, like, oh, this white guy knows how to speak Blackfoot.
You're not white.
That's what I've heard. No, I'm native. And like, that's what a couple of them said. They're like, they kind of said in Blackfoot. And then, and I was just like, I'm not white, I'm native. And I walk away, right?
Mm. Well,
and I still kind of have that.
Well, stop acting white. What the hell's wrong with you?
Exactly.
You should start acting like you're One Nation people. Start sniffing glue out of a Ziploc bag, and and I don't know what trade your wampum. I don't know what the hell.
Your wigwam.
Trade your wigwam for a thing of mouthwash, thing of Listerine, man. I'll give you 2 wigwams for a Costco case of Listerine. Well, that's a lopsided deal, by the way. But I mean, if you're desperate for that mouthwash, you will trade your wigwam away, man.
Yeah.
I'd rather work for my beer, not.
You'd rather work for your wigwam. You don't need the state handing you out a wigwam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But hey,
I want beachfront wigwam.
But what about like, do you got numbers, Cabin Boy? Do you have numbers on suicides? Do you have numbers? Like how many?
I don't even know. It's rare here in Lethbridge, right? But I know there's a suicide on the reserve because of the isolation,
Okay,
as well as The same thing. They barely have any access to like this mouthwash and hand sanitizer, right? So they end up taking pills. And some of them say have lost or losing everything, like their house, uh, like their vehicle, all their assets, important assets. They start losing it one by one. That's how that suicidal thoughts come in, right? And they're like those oxy 80s. They could kill you just like maybe taking one will kill you.
Okay, you're talking about
And
that what is it they're shooting up? That fucking barbiturate fentanyl, yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's more rampant on the reserve other than here in Lethbridge.
Well, one could argue that a lot of the overdoses of fentanyl could be suicides.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I was thinking.
Well, that's happening here also. I think we covered this last time about the fentanyl epidemic, is that fentanyl is a much stronger form of an opiate. And
Yeah.
a lot of what the government has done now is they've forced a lot of the doctors to stop handing out Oxycontins, Percocets, and other form of hydrocodone. So now they're easier. The street drug now is fentanyl, which is much more stronger and potent, and it's killing a lot of the people that have predisposed problems with opiate addiction. And now you have a lot of these people that have had the opiate addiction the past 10 years, and now they're all dropping dead because they're unable to get the more suitable oxycodone, other those type of heroin type drugs, and now the people are dying off. I guess it's a way of cleaning house, is
Yeah.
now you're having all these people die off, and now you're kind of cleaning house with the fentanyl, killing off all these drug addicts.
Well, the junkies getting killed off. Yeah, it's
The
like
junkies are getting killed off, right?
it's like they're culling the population there.
Correct. That's what I see. What's that's kind of my conspiracy, is that with the pumping of the fentanyl now is killing off a lot of people.
Mhm.
So the weaker ones, the weaker weak junkies are getting killed off.
Yeah, the useless eaters.
Mhm.
They're not they call them the useless eaters. The
Oh,
people
yeah.
that just eat and they don't they consume and they don't contribute.
Mhm.
Well, then you start killing off welfare people if you want to go in that direction.
Well,
right?
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like I'm talking 1984 shit here. Like that's kind of,
Right.
that's just,
So you obviously what I do think is that the heroin epidemic, the opiate epidemic that is plaguing North America, that all stems from, I think, Afghanistan. And when we didn't have this problem until we went into Afghanistan. Afghanistan happens to be a very large opiate producer. The Taliban banned it. Taliban banned opiate production,
yeah.
and people don't seem to realize that. Taliban said no to pedophilia and no to doing heroin and opiate drugs. And once the U.S. went in there, I think a lot of pharmaceutical companies got their hands into the opiate, the poppy fields, and now, fast forward from '01 to now, is that once the production started coming, once you started the production, you set up the infrastructure to start making these drugs, then you started flooding the market in North America, where you have the native white population now getting killed off, mostly middle class suburb white boys that have really nothing going on for them. So they turn to these drugs. First, you bring in marijuana. Marijuana is okay, and it is the gateway drug. Don't ever let someone tell you other about marijuana. Marijuana is the gateway drug. All right, and then they obviously moved on. Okay, now I'll do E, then I'll do coke, and obviously the end of the line is heroin, and that's where you are now. So the people that graduated high school when I graduated, 05, 06, that was kind of the infant stage of this opiate epidemic. And then obviously the baby boomers like codeine because their muscle aches, their joints, it's easier, they're more responsible with these drugs. And you have Brittany and Tommy now raiding grandma's medicine cabinet, and they're training them at the lunch at the lunch table, in college and in high school, and that's kind of where we are now. Is now you're getting these people are now dying off.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you have a community flooded with such a dangerous drug, I mean, and it's a never-ending supply. Then that doesn't fucking happen by accident. It doesn't just fucking fall into the hands of people on the street, man.
Well, where are the poppy fields in North America? There's no poppy fields. Everyone would see it.
No.
I mean, half the population would descend on it, either try smoking it or burning it or doing something to it. So it's obviously coming from abroad. I say it's coming from Afghanistan. And there's a lot of people are outspoken about it. So you get lithium for batteries for your cell phone out of Afghanistan, and you get opiates.
But yeah, opiates, and China too. It's coming out of China as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, China and Afghanistan, I think, share a border.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. And if we're talking suicide, Captain.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think a lot of these overdoses could be counted as suicides.
That's what I was going to say. I was just thinking, like, yeah, because when that Oxy 80 first hit the blood reserve, people were just dying off, right? Just left and right. And of course, they assume, that it's not going to kill them, right? Or it's going to kill them if they keep taking it. And now they have like a counteractive, what do they call it? It's like a EpiPen type of thing. Where someone were into just on their way from this drug that they use this EpiPen. It's supposed to revive them somehow, right?
Yeah, I've seen that, man. It's I seen a guy die. Well, I didn't witness the entire thing. I just was a passerby and kind of a part of the process. But basically, a guy die, get revived, and then come into the liquor store the next day.
What?
Oh, that's a champ.
Yeah, man.
Oh, geez.
That's unbelievable.
That's a badass. That's an alpha male.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, I just spent in the hospital, but I got out, so I thought I'd have a drink.
Yeah,
It's a warrior.
No.
We gotta give him some type of First Nation, traditional name.
Yeah, what would we call him, man?
What would we call him?
The devil.
Spirit walker.
I forgot how to say.
Opiate walker.
Yeah, something. Or he's a shapeshifter or some type.
Oh, it's something like let's try like something. You gotta relate it to some type of animal. Like a black owl, one eye. Owl or some shit.
Bad shots.
Oh man.
Booming bear.
Yeah, it is true. I heard some natives talking about how some of them, right, they're on their deathbed, like almost dying, but they still somehow still are drinking, right? And with white people, they'd be on their deathbed and they have one more drink, they're gone.
Well, listen. So Sovereign's not joining because I think his wife is eavesdropping and doesn't is going to listen to his conversation. And she's going to start. She's going to start toasting in on the conversation. He doesn't feel comfortable.
You call him cunt face. I saw that.
That's what, I just had pizza with them. Yeah, I'm coming. I'll be on 10 minutes. I don't want to come on.
Anyway, if you think about it, what better way to kill yourself, man, than a fucking
opiate?
Just an opiate, a huge trip, and then boom, you're dead. Fuck. Your heart's
That's a nice way of going out.
A nice way of going out, man. So I think a lot of these overdoses are basically suicides. I mean, if you're talking
now,
about,
when did you mean to kill yourself? I mean, me and Sovereign had a friend that just died from a heroin overdose. I was in Cambodia when it happened, but word got back. I think he got marked as a suicide. I really don't know.
Hmm.
But he didn't. That's not a suicide. He didn't actually. It was unintentional. He didn't plan on killing. He loved life. He loved living, and he was a
No,
really he was a happy person, and it was
no,
really sad that he died. But I wouldn't count that as a suicide. That was an accident.
no, I'm talking about these natives,
The
like
native, yeah.
the native population. Because if you see the condition they're in, like I can understand where they do have a high suicide rate. I know that. I
Mhm.
can't rattle off numbers off the top of my head right now either, but I have looked into it on a
Mhm.
national level before.
Okay.
Doing research for videos, I've looked into it. The
Mhm.
male suicide rate across the board, like I said, is 4 times higher than females, and
Yeah.
that's all males. That's across
Mhm.
the board, North America. However, once you get into the native population, you can basically take those numbers and double them,
Mhm.
and that's kind of the average you're getting for, let's say, male suicide within the native population, and it's a minority group. It's a very small group.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
the rates are very high. I don't know the numbers, but they're very high, and the condition that a lot of them live in, I can see a lot of, and there's a lot of overdoses, man. It's not just
Mhm.
like not one it's not 2 a year,
No.
you know. It's a dozen in a couple months type of thing,
But
right?
what I don't understand though is, I mean, obviously they're the poor and downtrodden and what have you, and victims of whatever you want to be victimized in. But even so, let's look at the Aborigines in Australia. They seem pretty happy, even though they're in the same kind of state of affairs as the One Nation people. So I don't see how why is your group of people, why is the One Nation so depressed and miserable and what have you, versus the Aborigines in Australia who seem very happy with doing the same exact things and they don't kill themselves? I don't understand that.
I
Well, there's a
wonder if
lot.
they even
Hmm.
have access to any of the opiates or uh, like the alcohol.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think they have access to opiates, but they have, they huff gasoline. They had to put chemicals in the gasoline to stop the Aborigines from sniffing it.
How
Mm.
Um,
did that stop them?
oh, they now they throw up. If when they sniff it,
Oh,
they throw up.
Oh.
But again, look at the Khmer people who are just as old as the One Nations people, and they're poor. They're miserable. And actually, no, I'm sorry, they're not miserable, but they're poor. Same state of affairs, very very downtrodden, yet so happy. They don't view themselves as victims. They don't understand these victimhood analogies and what have you. Yet again, that I call you guys Native Americans are so upset and depressed and I don't again, I'm trying to make a correlation between Aborigines and First Nation people. I don't see how the two have the same problems.
Mhm. Well,
yeah.
the thing is just like, for us natives, like my ancestors, they were very territorial, right? Anybody that didn't look native to them, they would go and, like come out
They
and what are you
killed
doing
them.
on my own? Like, and
Right.
now we can't do that now. Like we can't do that. If someone came into my backyard and I took a machete to their head, I'd be going to jail, you know, for protecting
Yeah.
my own
Okay,
place.
but let's say if you had your own country, all right, and this can go with the One Nation people, and we can make the same case for African
Mhm.
Americans, all right. Let's just say you had your own country. Do you think that would really change anything?
Um, I guess it'd have to be through education. Not a lot of them are educated. Uh, you
No,
know,
right now, no, you're cut off from education. You have
uh,
your own state. You have to build your own. You got to build grassroots it. You got to
mhm.
start all over again. Will that change the state of affairs for the One Nation people? And the same case goes for African Americans. If African Americans got Mississippi and Louisiana as their
Mhm.
own states, their own territory, cut off from the whites, no subsidy, no nothing, would that change the state of affairs for them?
I'm pretty sure it will, right? You know, so if you're saying like I had my own tribe or my own country or just something my own, right? Like if I owned the blood reserve, which is largest in Canada, and I didn't want any type of Western living to come into the reserve, right? So Like if we wanted to still live in teepees, yeah, still hunt bison. If we got that right to do that, of course we would. I would make everybody do that,
Would you? I mean, would you want? Because okay, the blood reserve. Remember, Nick, when you were looking on the map, the area there, like it's huge. It's fucking massive, man.
Right. Yeah, it was big.
And so if you could build a wall around the blood reserve, a cabin boy,
Mhm.
and then just go back to hunting the buffalo on that land, would you do that?
Yes, yeah, and not to speak English, to speak Blackfoot. And if anybody wanted off the reserve, and well, go right ahead, but you're gonna have to sign here and say that you're not going to return.
I'd be cool with that. I would totally
I would
okay
too.
that if I was a dear leader of North America. I would definitely give them their own country or whatever. Same thing with African Americans. Look, obviously this is like a divorce. We can't reconcile our differences. Here's Louisiana. Here's Mississippi. You guys are on your own, and do not come look for me for help. This is all on you. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say okay for that. And this
I-
goes back to Jared Taylor. If you ever follow Jared Taylor, he's considered like a white supremacist. But he makes a lot of sense. What his thinking is that you can't mix people. If people are gonna they're just gonna go with their next of kin. They're just gonna be whites are gonna be with whites, and Mormons are gonna be with Mormons, and African Americans are gonna be African Americans. Yes, there'll be some that assimilate. Yes, there'll be some that are okay with living in other people's territories. But the overriding majority are gonna want their own separate state, and he says just let African Americans have their own territory and let them do their own thing.
That's actually I agree with that. I mean, if you could, and if you think about the African American population, it's a minority as well. It's what is it, like 13% or something?
Yeah, it's like it bounces between 10 and like 13% or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you could fit those all in a couple states.
Yeah, well, you give them what they give them where they originate. In North America, where did they originate from? It was the Deep South, Louisiana. And when I think of black people, I think of Louisiana. I think of Mississippi. I think of Alabama because that's where they all really came from. Is down deep down in the heart of those Arkansas. Hardcore. Southern states. So let them. It wasn't until after World War II they moved north to Detroit and to New York City because we needed the labor, we needed people to work to supply the materials needed to fight the Japanese and Germans. So they got them out from the south and moved them to the north, where there's more industry, and they worked in the factories to build tanks and stuff. And then they didn't leave. And when the whites that were fighting came back to the states, they lost their neighborhoods because all the blacks were living in their neighborhoods, and that's where the suburbs came from.
Well, and speaking of that, cabin, now if your idea, your concept of like, hey, if we could completely make the reservations independent from the federal government of Canada, completely independent, all right? I mean, you wouldn't completely disregard trade with the federal government, maybe on your own terms, but let's just say you're completely independent of the federal government. Now that's the blood reserve. What about all the other tribes? I mean, how many tribes are there? First of all,
I think there's well, of course there's us, the Cree.
In Canada, I mean, in Canada.
In Canada, tribes. Well, there has to be hundreds.
Hundreds, right?
Maybe hundreds. That's what I'm going to say. Because, I don't really never really studied the other tribes, just the ones that are here in Alberta and the United States too.
Do you think? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I never studied the ones that are east of here.
Okay.
Like the Mohawk.
So what? Then all these one tribes want a nation too, and that's what led to the downfall of Native Americans to begin with. That you guys couldn't unite, and then the Europeans came along and got you guys to have internal conflict. And the same thing goes for Africa. The Africans couldn't unite. They unlike Asia. Asia seems to unite. You see, like China and North Korea, they're uniting to fight off America, and the Native Americans couldn't do that, nor can Africa do that. They pawned each other off one another. The whites took advantage of that. Like, good. Oh, you don't like this tribe here? Well, this tribe is talking shit, so you should be friends with us. Right, and then North Korea and China are like, you know what? These fucking whiteys, we're not gonna let them in our fucking territory. Me and you may see things differently. We may speak a different language, but me and you look the same, and no fucking white man's gonna step foot on this fucking territory again. And that's why I agree with North Korea and China that America has no right fucking with Asia. Asia or the Orient that's their turf, that's their territory, and the Orientals see right through this bullshit where they're trying to pin one off one another, and North Korea and China aren't falling for it.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. You ever heard of the Navajo code talkers?
No.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you know, like the movie Wind Talkers. That's basically almost like a true story of how the Navajo code talkers, what they do is the Navajo natives down in the states in
It was like New Mexico, I think.
Yeah, New Mexico. Yeah, they were using their language for call for fire, like artillery fire against the Japanese, right?
Yeah, the Japanese had no idea what that language was.
They could understand English, right?
Right.
They knew they had a translator in the background and saying, okay, they're transferring their fire. We got to get the hell out of Dodge. So the Navajo Indians were taught to talk on the radio and use their language, translate it, so that they would. You got the one radio operator in the line of fire talking to someone from the intelligence, right? And they'd be talking their Navajo language, and they would say like the coordinates for them and the coordinates for the enemy, and to send like for instance airstrike or artillery fire against that. And the Japanese had no clue what they're saying. They're like, oh no, what are they saying? I don't know. I don't understand that. That's not English. And then that's how they got defeated, was because the Navajos. It's like they helped the U.S. You know, like some of them. I heard down there they have the utmost respect for Navajo Indians down there, right? And I'm pretty sure if they live the same way as we do around here, right? Some of them work, some of them don't.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either what it's like with the tribes down in the southern states.
They have the same problems. I know the ones in that are on the border of Canada have the same exact problems as the One Nation people in Canada. So I know in Montana there's a huge meth problem. It's a drinking problem, so on and so forth. So I don't know. I think the further south they are, apparently it might be they're better off the further towards Mexico. I really don't know. I don't really. They get huge tax breaks. And they're kind of just left alone for the most part. You know, they get tax break. They're not allowed to develop anything on their land. You know, corporations aren't allowed to touch it, even though there's some ways around that. But I couldn't really tell you, man. I know more about Hispanic communities and Jewish communities versus Native Americans in the States.
Well, the thing is, man, is like you were saying, Cabin, about like having an independent nation, like independent of the federal government. But and then I'm telling you, you got 100 tribes. Is every single tribe going to have their own country, or could they?
You guys are going to have to live under one roof in one piece of land, and then that brings up the next case is that then there's going to be infighting in the tribes on that one piece of land, and then obviously the whites are going to be like, all right, fuck this, we're just invading and bombing the shit out of them because they just can't fucking get along. I'm serious, man. It boils down to just some basic things, when the whites got over here, they were like, Jesus Christ, they don't get it. We're trying. I don't know how much forced assimilation, how many times the Europeans tried getting along. But first, the Westerners, they have this thing called a monetary system. The Native Americans don't know what that is. No. Then you have the Westerners, they have a thing called borders. Native Americans didn't really have their borders were very fluid. They kept moving, But so by the time that was the case with Europeans and the Middle East. Obviously, the borders were very fluid, but by the time the Europeans showed up, they had rigid, strong borders. And and from what I understand is that the Native Americans were like, no, you can enjoy this. This tree is our tree. It's very much more communal. And the Europeans are like, oh, we can just take full blown advantage of this situation. It's total polar opposite cultural differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when Lewis and Clark were coming into this part of the world, most of the native tribes they ran into here were very violent and aggressive, like attack on sight.
Mhm.
Totally.
Like
Yeah.
a lot
It
of
wasn't
a lot like
smoking peace pipes. I mean, there's a whole, this liberal, peace loving, they were holding hands and smoking peace pipes and eating corn. Like, no, they'll kill you, bro. Like, they'll fucking lop your head off. The whole, this is what I get offended by is that, the whole thing with the American football team with the Redskins. I mean, when I think of a Redskin, I think of like a Redskin, a Native American who's going to rip and chop off some white dude's head, some, we name our military equipment after to pay respect to Native Americans. Like that's the Apache helicopter. We named that fighting vehicle in honor of the Apache tribe.
Yeah, because they kicked our ass. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now,
take no prisoners. It was just, obviously just because of technology and what have you, kind of just was more or less the downfall and the diseases that the Westerners brought. I mean, we've been exposed to a lot of nasty shit, white people. From what I understand, when the whites went down to Africa, the first time they went to Africa, like they got parasites that like exploded their heads. Their brains were popping out of their eyeballs, and the Africans were like, yeah, we eat that parasite.
Oh.
we cook it for lunch.
Yeah, we cook it for lunch. We eat monkey. Like, okay, and then a white guy tries eating a monkey. He's got Ebola and measles, and so a lot of this is in that. Where's the book? I can look at the book. It's right on. I can stare at my bookshelf here. Jared Diamond, Guns, Germs, and Steel. Great book. It talks about Native Americans and Westerners in the Middle East and in all the cultures and how they all kind of. How did Western civilization become the epitome of a great civilization, and why did the Aborigines fall apart? And it talks about germs and of crop rotation and all these different type of things. The other thing that people don't talk about is Native Americans had it really hard with growing crops. It was very hard to grow crops where in certain parts of North America versus the Fertile Crescent and Turkey when the Mediterranean areas. So there's all different type of things that play into a factor here.
Yeah, a lot of actually the Native American population in North America, a lot of the tribes that as you headed farther north were nomadic because they didn't have agriculture. They didn't grow crops because of the weather. Because the
right,
and they hadn't technologically advanced to that point where they understood agriculture and how to store food, etc., and also they wiped out entire populations of trees and animals. They made animals go extinct. The Native Americans of North America hunted the horse to extinction.
Probably in the very early stages, though.
Yes.
I mean, I don't.
They hunted it to extinction, and then the Spanish brought it over, and the natives were like, "Oh, hey, these are useful."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never heard that they were hunted to extinction. I never heard that before, but I guess so.
Well, there was no
that's
horses
new to
here.
me. Yeah, probably during the early part. It's in that book again. I recommend you guys getting that book. It was very boring. Neil. What is it again? Jesus, you're gonna make me get up.
Guns and Germs.
I read half of it and I stopped because it's really boring. Jared Diamond's Guns, Germs, and Steels. And again, Rockefeller Foundation did most of the research. Jared Diamond was funded by the Rockefeller foundation to do this research. And the first half of the book was just about, it was mostly about Native Americans and crop rotation. And it's a great book. And also the whole in the book it talked about the Incas, and I found this to be very fascinating. Is when the Spaniards went over and met the Inca civilization in Peru, there was only 100 Spaniards that came off the boats, and the Spaniards were really scared. They were like, "Wow, we are outnumbered by like 100 to I think it was 20 something thousand, 20 or 25,000 Incas, Native Americans." And these 100 Spaniards, despite being so petrified of the Incas, slaughtered 20,000 of the Incas men. And how did they do that? Because once the Spaniards took out the king, they didn't know how to function. They didn't know how to reorganize and regroup. Where the Spaniards, if they didn't really care if their leader got killed, we had another guy to replace them. So like their sun god was killed, he was captured. Our leader, like this man is supposed to be immortal. We believe in him. Where the Spaniards are like, no, fuck him. He's just a regular dude. So they were able to take advantage of that situation. That once the Spaniards, the leader, I forgot the guy's name, but the leader of the Spaniards was like, if we take the leader out, they won't be able to function. They'll fall apart. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
Well, superstition too. That was a downfall to a lot of these developing tribes and nations. And if you take for example, World War II. I kind of want to try to segue into the next topic here, but
well, I'm breaking out the book because I want to get the story right. So go on.
Okay. In World War II, when the Japanese had kind of gone deep into the Southeast Asia, and when the American military was kind of liberating the islands, they weren't welcomed with open arms by a lot of the locals, right? And one of the ways that the American soldiers were able to kind of clear out a lot of the local soldiers, the Filipinos, was to play on their superstitions. So, and I read about this a while back. So I'm just kind of doing it from memory. But what happened was they have, in Southeast Asia, a lot of people have very, very superstitious. They believe in ghosts, all sorts of spirits and stuff like that. And there's this one ghost they believed in that would was like a bat and would fly down at night and it would take the villagers away and gut them and shit like that. So what the American soldiers would do, if they killed somebody, they would take their body, gut them, and make it look like this ghost had killed them. Okay? And the superstition was so strong that the locals just abandoned the whole area on their own.
Wow.
They just defeated them all by feeding off their superstitions.
I just want to let you know you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on there.
It was 168 Spaniards versus 40,000 Indian soldiers. So that gives you an idea, and just crushed them horribly.
Oh, man.
Wow, that is pretty fucking wild, man.
Their arrows must have blocked out the sunlight.
No, the Spaniards won.
Oh,
They
did?
were on horseback with guns versus 80,000. And then, mind you, the Spaniards lost to the British. So,
Wow.
it's all fluid, you know what I mean? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, then their military techniques must have been spot on,
No, they weren't. They took out the king. They took out the king here, and then they fell apart because they their leader. This goes back to the superstition that he was just talking about, and then the Cortez. I think it's Cortez. Oh no, Cortez was the Aztecs. Anyway, I'm not gonna bore you with the names here and everything, but definitely look it up. The Spaniards conquering the Incas.
Yeah,
but also it's showing here that the Spaniards, the bishop, the Pope not the Pope, but the bishop went over to try to tell the Inca leader, it's either you accept the Holy Bible or we're gonna beat you senselessly. And then apparently the king of the Incas kind of like threw it on the ground or spit on it, and that kind of set off the Spaniards. Like, he disrespected the Lord Jesus Christ, and that kind of infuriated the Spaniards right then and there, that they weren't going to play ball with them. And then one thing led to the next, and the Incas are no more.
They're gone, man. Extinct.
Don't fuck with Catholics, man. The Spaniards, conquistadors, damn it. Those guys don't fuck around.
Well, I wanted to segue into this other topic now.
You're breaking up horribly.
Yeah.
Check. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I can
Hello?
still hear you, but you're breaking up.
Yeah, you're all broken up.
All of us? No.
Oh, I can hear you guys fine.
Oh,
I know,
really?
but we hear you're kind of all
You sound
kind
like
of
a
crappy. Yeah, a little bit like a robot. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me mute for a few minutes and try and change my headset and see if that works. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and
Yeah,
talk for a few minutes.
Okay, we'll talk. So wait, now how old are you? I forgot.
37. I just turned 37.
Are you not married?
No. But I have.
Do you want to be married? Are you
no.
MGTOW Native American?
No. That's. It's weird because I was raised not to get married.
Why? What the hell's that about?
Well, because where I'm from, when you are considered married, right? Like not legally, but if you're living with the person, everybody says, "Oh, they're married," like they're together, right? But they're not legal, right? And to me, like when I see that stuff, I think it's unsatisfactory type of lifestyle, as the way I see it from some people. Like some of them, like the guys get bored of their wives. They're like, oh, you don't get to go out and play pool with the guys. You have to stay home and watch TV. And it's like, well, you got to take control, and say, hey, it's just like you're held like in an institution, but in your own home, and you're like, oh. So like I always heard it from my older siblings. They always say, don't get married because you won't get to go out and do stuff. Okay. So now, like the way I'm living now, I can go out and do what I want. But the thing is, I pay child support, right?
Oh, I remember that. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Now you're
Yes, sir.
good. Yay.
Okay, it might have been that headset that I was using.
So when we transition, do you want to talk about communal living?
Yeah, well, and also I wanted to touch on this idea of communism in the political left that's happening right now. Because there's this video, right? I saw it was put on by Sargon of Akkad, and it's called "Communists at Berkeley Lose the Argument." Now, I don't know if you've heard. I don't know if you've heard a lot about this going on, Nick, in the States. But so there's this video that he put up where it's a rally. I don't know what to call it. Just a gathering of self-proclaimed communists. All right.
Okay.
Now,
right.
And they're basically having this get-together rally. They got megaphones and such. I'll put the link in our chat there, so if you want to look at it, you can. But basically, they're saying that they're criticizing Trump and right-leaning politics, et cetera, in the States, but they're calling themselves straight up, "We are communists," right? So it seems like there's like this communist flag waving going on politically in the United States today. Have you seen any of this shit?
Again, I'm that's California. I don't.
It's in California.
Look, from what I see, it's a very small minority of Americans that get the platform, and the whole media is on board for that small group. It's a small group of people. I mean, if you talk to an average American, everyone is moderate right. The whole country's been moderate right since pretty much its founding. All right, we can have Social Security, but we're not going to give out welfare to people from other countries that just showed up here. Like, you know what I mean? And they're children, they're kids, they're 24-year-olds that know fuck all about the world. They never, they think it can be better, when in fact, when you leave the country, you soon realize, oh shit, I really shouldn't be complaining, because this, where I grew up, where I live in this country, is certainly better than pretty 99% of the other countries around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, and this is the reason why I bring this up, is because I've seen it, and obviously, yes, I agree. The media is very left leaning, and it seems like they're pushing this
beyond. Yeah, beyond
yeah.
left leaning. Yeah,
and they're
and they make it seem like they're a majority, when in fact they're not.
Yes.
I mean, it's bizarre. Bernie Sanders supporters account for such a small segment of the population, mostly women, and mostly vegan eating, gluten-free, lactose, milk toast, boring fucking losers. And they know nothing. They're retarded. There are some things on the left that I agree with. I agree with not privatizing roads and not privatizing schools, public schools. I think those things are a bad idea. I don't agree with Molyneux and Milton Friedman's idea on a voucher system. I think it's a shitty fucking idea. But, and again, I lived in Cambodia, which is a very Hobbesian nightmare, libertarian wet dream, where the roads are privatized, the trees are privatized, everything's fucking privatized, and it's a goddamn fucking nightmare. So, oh no, it's just because they're low IQ. No fucking moron. That's what you get with libertarianism, is this fucking nightmare called Cambodia. And I don't want to hear that it has something to do with their IQ. Is that the roads are horrible, the schools are shit, and the hospitals are a disaster.
Well, okay. So check this out. I'm seeing this video of communists at Berkeley, right? And then I'm seeing an article from Jakarta, where I used to live, and it's showing a picture of a bunch of Muslims. Did you see the article that I sent?
No, I can't really see it while I'm speaking to you. Sorry.
I'm gonna share my screen with you guys here. For a second, hold on. Where the fuck is it? Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Can you guys see it? Okay. Okay, can you see this?
I can see it. Yeah. What is
see that?
Yeah, I was seeing a picture.
Can you see that, Nick?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So this is an article from the Jakarta Post. 5,000 Brimob personnel to guard Friday's anti-communist rally. Now look at the picture. These are all Muslims, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that one guy's wearing a fucking
fighting against communism.
Anonymous mask.
Yeah, one guy's got his Muslim petty on and an anonymous mask. And they're burning a fucking Soviet flag, which is sort of like now the meme for communism, right? So here we go.
Well, the communists were fought off. I think that was all Kissinger in the 70s, what led to East Timor.
60s,
the invasion of East Timor.
No, it was 60s.
60s. Yeah, I mean,
68, 69. Mid to late 60s was when they overthrew Sukarno, the original president who came in through independence, and they inserted, and it was the CIA that did it, but they inserted Suharto, who was this. Who some people say killed more people than Lenin and Stalin. Sorry. So, but anyway,
wow,
that was back in the mid '60s. Now here we have a modern picture. This is a brand new picture. This is taken a few days ago of these Indonesian Muslims burning the symbol of communism today, basically, which is the old Soviet flag, right? And at the same time, in California, at Berkeley, you have university students
promoting it. They love
waving a fucking Soviet flag.
What?
Yes. Yeah. This is
so. What's the reason? Why are they burning the Soviet flag here?
Oh, because they're it's anti-communist. There's a huge anti-communism sentiment coming up again in Indonesia, and if you don't know, a huge part of the history of Indonesia was a culling of communists back in the 60s.
Right. Okay.
Now,
Smart.
when and this is the thing, when and I think it was in I have another, where
I don't know why Americans are so afraid of these fucking people. There's a fear of them when in fact they're weak. I mean, I don't know what you're so afraid of this lesbian for. Why are you so afraid? What is that lesbian gonna do to you? Why are you? Right? Seriously, like, are you really afraid of a bunch of Berkeley students? Like, I would go right there and start cracking skulls myself. Like, they're not going to do anything. But what you have to be afraid of is how the media and a lot of government institutions and foundations and NGOs and non-for-profits are all behind the...
they're promoting.
Have a lot of weight. And what they have is money. And they're funding it through money. And you look at this, what's happening with the NFL. I've mentioned this to you. I mean, in our first live stream, I saw this coming before any of this kneeling took place. And now it's, now finally, I think Rush Limbaugh spoke about it, and he actually took, it was everything that I said was happening, is that you're going after Americanism. You're going after a bedrock in American culture, especially masculine male culture, which is football. It's a male-dominated sport, and what do? You put breast cancer awareness, the concussions. Oh, the children can't play football anymore. They might have a brain seizure. Right, so now you make it political, and now people are turning off the football. Now we'll take it a step further while I take a drag of my cigarette. Hold on.
Is this why Trump voted against it, or is he?
Right, but I'll get to that. But here's the next thing. Now you have a bunch of white guys who watch sports, and they have to turn off their one day off on a Sunday. They have to turn off the TV, and they're going to be pissed off. And now what's going to happen is they're going to channel their anger and now take it out on North Korea, and take it out on Iran, take it out on Muslims. So now they're channeling all this aggression, which was wrapped up in sports. So their fucking sport team, as stupid as that is, now they're going to channel this anger towards a nation, a country. So at the same time, you're attacking sports and you're saying how bad North Korea is. So I think what this may lead to is a confrontation with North Korea, because now you're throwing the weight of the American flag. They're disrespecting the flag. Well, we got to go out and fucking kill some fucking Orientals now or some shit,
Okay, now, as being related to communism, North Korea calls itself a democratic republic, does it not?
Yeah, that's just a fucking name. That doesn't mean it's fucking democratic. Come on.
So how do we view it? Do we view it as a communist country?
I don't know. I think it's capitalist now, honestly. I think their GDP growth is pretty fucking high. I had a friend that was just in North Korea. He showed me pictures. I mean, it looked pretty fucking developed, man. We don't know. The people are not starving. It's not fucking 1993 in North Korea anymore, and the children are fucking in the streets.
Yeah, nobody.
That's a fallacy.
Yeah, nobody should trust the fucking liberal media to give you the truth of what's happening, or any of the media to give you.
Yeah, but right, are there death camps? I'm sure there are death camps in North Korea, and what do you call America's fucking prison system? America's prison system is fucking horrible, and it's privatized, mind you. The glories of privatization, right? It's fucking. So it's all hogwash. I don't believe a lot of this hatred towards North Korea. I don't believe any of it. I think they're attacking North Korea because they're not tied to the World Bank, they're not tied to Goldman Sachs, and they're homogeneous. Those things got to go. You can't have homogeneous countries anymore. They don't like that.
Are they going to be competing in the Olympics?
No, I think they're banned from the Olympics.
What?
Maybe. I don't know. I really don't fucking know.
Hey, North Korea competed in the last World Cup, man.
Yeah, that's
the first time, and they got their asses kicked, but they competed. First time.
All right. Jamaican bobsledding. So again,
I bet they got great athletes, man.
But again, this goes back to I see what this thing is. Again, you have a blue collar, lower class Trump supporters, rah rah rah, American flag. Oh, these fucking disrespectful, fucking overpaid athletes disrespecting the flag. Okay, let's go attack North Korea now. And I can see that fucking happening. All right, they're disrespecting the flag, and North Korea is gonna drop a nuke on Kansas. Like, wait, what? Calm the wait. So let's hold the phone here. And I see that being, I think Paul Craig Roberts is where I'm quoting that from, where he sees that the people turning off the TVs because of football, they're now going to channel their anger and aggression towards another nation.
Well, they should just play hockey because it seems like Donald Trump's leaving them alone. So all you got to do is put on these skates, this equipment, and chase that little rubber puck around with the stick.
You know, communism's imperfect. You know, I have a friend from Moldova, and she was telling me that, you know, food was much more. There was no chemicals in the food. They had real yogurt. And once capitalism brought in, once you introduce capitalism, is now you have chemicals in the food. Where communism, they didn't really have that. You know, everything was much more fresh and abundant, especially in the Eastern European countries. You know, that obviously was not perfect. I mean, I don't want to get into this Romania and the nightmare that Romania faced under communism, but you know, it was imperfect.
Soviet Union.
I mean, it was. Right. I mean, it was an imperfect system, communism, but you know, life was much more simpler from what she told me, and you know, she was telling me that it really wasn't that as bad as people say it was for at least her country in Moldova. Moldova is also the poorest country in Europe, and I have to remind her that your country's a fucking nightmare and it's really poor, and the infrastructure from 1920. But you know, again, if you look at the food and the cult, you know, the living style and the cultures and stuff, there were some nice benefits to it, no doubt. And again, once you brought capitalism into the mix, then now they're gonna, you know, pump cheap food on you, full of GMOs, full of chemicals. Whereas under communism, people kind of grew their own food and kind of live and let live, so to speak.
Well, you know, speaking of the Trump and Korea. You guys know how World War I started, right?
Yeah, of course.
Archduke Franz Ferdinand, right, of Austria, got assassinated. You know how World War II started. Germany invades Poland, right? You know how World War III is going to start?
Yeah.
Trump's going to call Kim Jong-un gay on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Man, him the Rocket.
Faggot haircut.
Yeah, that'll be in the history books like 20 years from now. World War III started when Donald Trump called Kim Jong-un gay on Twitter.
Or he calls him the Rocket Man. That's almost
well, that's what
and look, all the sanctions on North Korea, all these things, how many more sanctions can you put on a country that you don't do business with? I don't understand this. How do you keep sanctioning a country that you have no ties with? I don't understand what these sanctions are about.
How can they? They're not. It's just talk, man.
Yeah, I keep hearing that, like, from this YouTube channel I keep watching, and they put like a compilation of news reports about North Korea and U.S. going to war, and they just do the same thing. Oh, we're going to bomb North Korea because we're just going to bomb them. And then North Korea's like, well, we're going to bomb the U.S. because you said you're going to bomb us. So it's like, oh, you know, Osama bin Laden did not address the U.S. nation saying, I'm going to hit the World Trade Centers. He just did it, you know, or we thought he did. But that's what everybody said in the first place, right? That Osama bin Laden was the mastermind of 9/11. And it's just like, whoa, he's not messing around. But what did they do right away? They started sending troops to Afghanistan because that was where his last terrorist base was, or something like that, right? And everybody's saying, oh, no, I think George W. Bush Sr. had a bad trade with the Arabs and over oil, and this is where it starts from, you know.
Well, hey, Sovereign
and
or cunt face. he's in the comments. He's saying that it's the United Nations that are promoting the sanctions, not the states.
No, I absolutely. I mean, and North Korea doesn't even get to have a say at the United Nations. God forbid they said something. The media, the whole globalist empire will just come down hard on North Korea. Now, mind you, that North Korea, look at the countries that are against the UN. All right, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and Syria. And there was Libya at one time, but Libya is no longer part of this equation. And North Korea was in cahoots with Syria, trying to get Syria to develop its own nuclear power plant. And so these countries have been operating, trying to get around this homogeneous Western philosophy and mentality of gay rights, Goldman Sachs. Gotta have Wi-Fi. The whole world needs to be hooked up to Wi-Fi. Why? Why does some rice picker in North Korea need to have a Wi-Fi connection so bad? And it's through right, but it's through Wi-Fi, through internet, through Facebook, where you can start brainwashing people globally, and that's why you see such a push for everyone to be connected, everyone to have a computer, because once everyone has a computer, you can pump everybody full of this type of indoctrination.
Yeah.
While I was in Cambodia, I was at the U.S. Embassy's library. And first of all, the library was nothing but climate change and LGBT bullshit. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a topic for another day. So the guy, there was an American guy doing a presentation for all these young teenagers, and they were talking about the Electoral College, and he was trying to explain to the Cambodians what the Electoral College was, and the kids were laughing at Trump, and they don't really know anything, and then they loved Bernie Sanders. And mind you, these are Khmer children whose parents were slaughtered and starved under communism, and these children are applauding Bernie Sanders. I mean, I was just sort of fly on the wall. I didn't want to say anything, but I was like, secretly, laughing that I go, these kids don't even know their own history. That you're promoting Bernie Sanders, who spoke just like Pol Pot.
Yeah, there's nothing more sad than someone that gets their reality from memes. And that's a lot of fucking people today, especially young people.
Well, you go to YouTube trends. I always every day see what's trending on YouTube, because YouTube is obviously promoting what is trending, right? So, and it's always the same thing. It's bashing Trump. It's glorifying, race mixing, bashing Christianity, bashing any religion for that matter. So, I see it, and for the average person, that they once you're red pilled, I guess that's the term. Once you're red pilled on a certain level, like ourselves, you start to see things, and you start to really analyze everything, and you become paranoid a little bit, where every time you see something on TV, you start to analyze it through is there an agenda behind that commercial? Is there an agenda behind this TV show?
Absolutely. Anything that is meant to entertain, the entertainment machine of North America, everything is an agenda. There is nothing without one.
I don't watch TV. Everyone watches Game of Thrones. I never watch this show because I'm afraid. Look, if everyone's watching this show, there's got to be some evil bullshit behind it.
Yeah, I'm not watching it either. I've never watched it.
I don't want to watch midget porn, because that's the last time I watched it. Like this midget one there, he was having sex with this girl, and it's just like,
what? Where are you coming from? You're scaring me right now. What are you, dude? That is some scary. We went from North Korea to midget porn in a minute.
I've never watched
the communist plot with the midget porn.
I mean, that's where they really get them, man.
Yeah, it's like entertainment. And, I heard it's like the latest trend back like 3 years ago. And it's just like,
midget porn, eh?
Yeah, I can't bring home a midget girl. And
well, we covered porn last week. I'm not going to open that can of worms again.
I was gonna listen to that discussion actually, and Actually, I got sidetracked or something.
When is beating off to porn in one day too much? That's the great debate. Who just shut my door?
That's the master debate.
Yeah, yeah, that is the great debate. When is watching it too much? So, MGTOW expat
When you-
says if you're watching it more than 2 times a day, you got a problem.
Mm.
Well, I blocked off all adult sites from my laptop, so I don't know. I'm
What?
kinda old school.
Now I know why you're trying to kill yourself. Talk about depression.
No,
Just pop a fentanyl and really just end it all, really.
Does
And
your-
have your porno.
no.
Does your mom go on your laptop or something?
No, it's just like I don't. I'd rather do it old school and pop a DVD in instead of.
Oh,
Yeah, you're one of those.
he's got a collection, Nick.
Pages are stuck together and balled up Kleenex. Jokes. Just kidding. No. Without the fentanyl.
Fentanyl and no porn. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster.
No. Like around here, I know they did in BC, but they legalized marijuana. And like, if they have what 2 clinics here in Lethbridge now. It's just like going up to them and say, "Can I get a gram of weed? Because I have high blood pressure."
So you need like
Let me ask you: Do One Nation women have big tits?
some.
Some.
Oh, that's good to
some-
hear.
Yeah.
It's
Some
nice.
Like, if they're bigger than my head, yeah,
That's awesome.
They can move in if they want. No, but if they're smaller than my pinky, like, yeah. What about like your breasts? They're a little small.
Now are they at least promiscuous? The women a little bit. I mean, are they pains in the asses like the white skinned animals?
No, they're pretty loose.
All the above.
They're pretty
All
loose.
the above. What you just said.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool, dude.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, here you could just, if somebody wanted to get laid, you could just point them in the direction of the reserve.
Really?
Yeah,
No,
That's awesome.
yeah, man.
you don't want to do that.
You don't want to do it, but it's
No.
that
Why?
easy. I don't know, man. They're probably not very clean.
Here, I'll tell
That's
you.
all right. Give as my friend from Australia would say, give them a feed, give them a shower, nice warm bed.
Give them a shower.
I'll tell you this, guys, a short story. Okay, my friend broke up with his girlfriend, right?
Mhm.
And he's a white guy. He came up to me and said, "Oh, geez, Kevin, I broke up with my girlfriend, and I was just wondering, do you know any Native women that are single?" And it's just like, yeah, go to town or go to standoff and drive around. And the first girl.
They're probably very nice. I bet they probably make really good wives.
Ooh, no,
No?
no.
Like if the girl you're with has to finish the fight you started in the bar, yeah, you're going to be a redskin.
Yeah.
You go and pick a fight with somebody, and then you end up getting beat up, and then she has to back you up. Yeah, that's true love right there. But like I was saying earlier, my friend broke up with his girlfriend. He was asking me, "Do you know any Native women that are, single that I could hook up with?" And I said, "Well, I don't. The ones I know, they're with somebody already. And he's like, "Oh." And I said, "You could go into standoff and drive around." He's like, "Okay." And he picked up this one girl, and all he said is, "Do you want to go party?" And she just shook her head like, "Yes." He said, "Jump in."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I had that in America.
It's that easy.
They went to this small town called Fort McLeod, right?
The
And,
fort.
Fort McLeod, you know where that is, right?
Oh yeah.
And well, Nick, it's like a small town, pretty much, right?
Mhm.
There's 3-4 liquor stores in there. It used to be a fort, but now it's a little town. Anyways, they're going to Fort McLeod, and the girl turns and like she didn't say anything the whole way. She's just using like head movement and barely any eye contact, like pretty much being shy. So then they're driving, and once they hit the main street, they kept going, and the girl looks over at my friend there and says, "You're passionate."
Your
My
passion.
friend, oh, thanks, man. Thank you very much. That's kind of you. And she said it louder the next time. She looked at him and said, "You're passionate." And looks at her and says, "Thank you." And he keeps driving. And she's like, "No, no, the liquor store. You're passionate." And she's pointing behind her.
You gotta, if you want to sell that joke, man, you gotta really put on a thick Blackfoot accent. Gotta be like,
And that's the thickest I could do. Like I
honey,
can't.
you're passionate.
I know
Honey,
you're
you're passionate.
No, thanks. You don't have to keep saying it. Yeah, and
If you're gonna sell that joke, you gotta lay on the thick Blackfoot accent, man.
yeah, I got to work on it. I have to be around them. I could do some of it, like, but it's just not. Well, it is authentic because I am from Blood Reserve, but
You know about the women. You know, the ones that I've noticed that are the best looking of the Native women around here are the ones that have a little bit of mix in them.
oh yeah,
With maybe even like a different tribe or.
I call them the watered down ones.
Yeah, watered down is what my
Watered
grandfather
down.
calls people that don't have any culture. That's great. He's calling them watered down. Like my grandfather, I asked my grandfather because he moved down to Florida. I go like, what's like the ethnic group of like whites down there? And he's like, oh, they're like watered down Irish. I'm like,
Yeah,
great.
those watered down ones though are really pretty, man. Some of the ones, a lot of them though look pretty inbred though.
Oh yeah, like their cousins hooked up and they didn't know their
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot that goes around in the reserve, and that's why I don't want to go out with another Native girl because what if she's my cousin? I'm like, oh.
That's pretty bad.
Look, you're thinking way too much about it. Just hit it, man.
No.
What if she's my cousin?
Yeah.
That's like the Ozarks, man.
I got her name tattooed on my arm. I'm trying to burn it off with a cigarette.
Oh God. No,
So the question is going back to Berkeley is how come? Why is it that the Nazism and fascism is so? They complain about fascism so much, yet communism and socialism gets a pass.
Yeah, I don't understand either because to me they're almost the same damn thing, and that's why I'm talking about this contrast where you have this developing nation in Southeast Asia that is mostly Muslim burning the flag of the Soviet Union, the classic.
Was the Soviet Union trying to take over this?
No. The reason, okay, they're burning the flag not because of the country, the Soviet Union, but the idea of communism, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's been in Indonesia, communism is a great evil, you know.
Yeah.
And it is it's ingrained into the minds of especially the Javanese, the people in Java, the Betawi that are around Jakarta, and the Sundanese. Most of the country, of the most populous part of that country, it's ingrained into them since the generation that grew up in the mid '60s, right? So they're all old now, and the kids that were learning in school were indoctrinated to hate communism. Like communism is the big evil. Because back in the late 50s, when Sukarno was sort of buddying up with the leader, the communist leaders in the Soviet Union at the time, there was a big scare that Indonesia during the start of the Cold War was going to be sympathizers for communism, and there was a communist party at the time, the PKI is what it was called. And so eventually what they did was they tried really hard to, there was plans to assassinate Sukarno. They tried to blackmail him by getting him to having him sleep with a bunch of Russian prostitutes.
Cool.
And there's a story actually about how they tried to blackmail him by he was taking a trip to the Soviet Union at the time, and this would have been in the early '60s, and they were trying to get these Russian prostitutes, like spies, to sleep with him, and then videotape the whole thing, and then blackmail him, right? And so the story goes that they videotaped. He got it on with these Russian chicks, and they secretly videotaped it, filmed it, and then they tried to blackmail him. And when they said to him, "Look, we've got footage of you sleeping with these Russian prostitutes," he said to them, "Can you send me a copy?" He's like, "Really? Can you send me a copy?" So they gave up trying to blackmail him. It just wasn't going to work. He wanted to show it to all his fucking friends.
Right.
Oh,
So
how I get it on.
so they eventually just decided they were gonna. They supplied the military with the money they needed, and there was a military coup, and they kicked him out, and they put in Suharto, who was a general in the military at the time, and they just slaughtered everybody. So basically, they went around. They created what they called the Pancasila Youth, which were just a goon squad that went around, and they literally in Jakarta went door to door and dragged out anybody that they was even suspected of sympathizing with the Communist Party, the PKI, and they killed them en masse. And to this day, they don't know how many people were murdered. They were lining up at the rivers and putting a bullet in their head. People talk about how the rivers were blood red at the time. And most of the PKI supporters were Chinese. They were Indo-Chinese, so they were of Chinese descent, because the Chinese have a very long history in that country. Most of the non-Muslims and supporters of the PKI were Chinese. Not all of them, but a lot of them were. But it was so bad, and because racial tensions had always been very, very strong and between the Chinese and the local Indonesians, the Sundanese and the Javanese, that as soon as Suharto gave the word to his goon squad to go in and just systematically pull these people from their house and just kill them, the local Muslims, they just joined in, and it was they just joined in and started killing Chinese. It was just like open war on Chinese, slaughtered Chinese, even if they weren't. And a lot of the local, and during that time, during that culling, this was like, what was it, 68, mid-60s, 65, 66, 7, 68. I have to look again at the exact dates. But the Muslims were hanging their prayer rugs on their doors so that when the Pancasila Youth, the goon squads, or even just the local Muslim neighbors walked by, they could go, "Oh, they're Muslim, they're not communist, they're not Chinese," and they would leave them alone. So the people that grew up who were children at the time, for the next 2 generations, it was drilled into their head, communism bad, and that flows over here. The people that you saw in that picture burning that flag were probably very young at that time, or they were the next generation, and in their schools they learned about the history and how their savior Suharto killed all the communists and saved Indonesia.
That picture there, was that just a recent one?
That's a very recent picture, yeah.
Yeah,
recent
because
picture.
I noticed the
So
guy
it's
with the anonymous face, right? So that had to have been around like last year or this year.
No. That picture was taken like a week ago.
Oh,
That's
okay,
a brand new
like
article. Yeah, that's a brand new article. But the point is you have this Southeast Asian country, mostly Muslim, biggest Muslim country in the world, burning the Soviet flag, which is a symbol of communism. That's what it stands for. Yet in Berkeley, in California, you've got university students who are supposed to be educated, raising and waving a Soviet flag.
And this is the University of what?
It's Berkeley, man, in California.
Oh, Berkeley. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Look, for whatever reason, California. Look, I boil it down to the difference between East Coast and West Coast, and the cultural difference between East Coast and West Coast is people from the East Coast are, I'm a third generation Italian American. My cousins are all second generation. I'm third. It's a long story, but anyway, we understand a little bit more on the nitty gritty grind, kind of scrappy, work hard, life sucks, very
Blue collar.
pessimistic. No, I wouldn't call blue collar, but we worked really hard living over here, and a lot of it has to do with the weather. You're mixing with so many different cultures that are literally off the boat, so to speak. So that gives you kind of like a much more pessimistic attitudes at the world at large. California, on the other hand, most of those people are not immigrants. The history of California it was a group of people who failed in the East Coast, so they needed to go get a better life, and that's why they went to California to set up their own thing because they couldn't hack it in the East. So mind you, I think the weather plays a huge factor in their type of attitude, where it's a feel good, yeah, beautiful weather, surfing, pretty much what my stereotypical view of what California is, like Keanu Reeves, kind of like, yeah, man, it's good waves, good vibes, palm trees, listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers and Sublime, smoke some weed. So like that kind of attitude, is much more optimistic, and they're much more open to different ideas, and they're also lazy from what I see, and I mean, look, I was in Cambodia, and this guy was walking down the street in Cambodia. He came up to me, and I was with a guy from South Africa, and my boss was from England. And I see him walking towards us, and I can already tell, like, this guy is American, but he's definitely not from the East Coast. And he knew right off the bat that I was from New York and Italian. And he's talking to us. He's being all chummy and friendly and stuff. And I'm like, he's gonna ask for money. He's gonna ask me for money. And sure enough, he goes, "Oh, can you guys spot me like $2?" And I'm like, God damn it, he's fucking from
Really?
California.
Oh,
And that's the vibe I get. And they're also very arrogant people from California. They think they're great because they live in California because it's the water, the beach, the lifestyle, and
Yeah.
that's my take on why California likes socialism and communism.
Well, you got to remember too. Hollywood is in California, Southern California.
yeah.
Well, not
Hollywood-
anymore. It's in Canada now.
Oh, well, and they love socialism. Hollywood.
Well, again, it's this affinity for we can all get along and hold hands, and again, because the weather's so nice, when you have nice weather, food's abundant, right? There's no need to be negative when it's always sunny out. You see what I'm saying? Whereas in New York, it's freezing, it's cold, it's windy, hurricanes. It's dark a lot. So when it's very dark all the time, you tend to be much more negative and have more negative views and have negative vibes. Those are kind of the reasons why I think California and also, mind you, California has a much more. They haven't experienced any hardship versus the East Coast. Again, my family has experienced hardships. My ancestors experienced hardships. People from California did not experience any form of hardship, other than the people that founded the state of California was only like 2 or 3,000 gold miners in 1849, the 49ers. There was the gold rush. So outside of the gold rush, the descendants of California have never had it bad.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
There's also a big population of Chinese and Latinos in Southern California, and those guys aren't fucking waving communist flags. It's all these fucking university white kids. The fuck.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't know. I never really met or spoke to anyone that's really like that. And again, it's women. I think Molyneux speaks about how women don't like to hear the words no. Like, no, communism is bad. Because if you tell them no, you're not going to get to have sex with them. You see what I'm saying? So you have to go along with it. Yes, you're such a great art student. You're number one. Okay, can I have a blowjob now? Right? So that permeates. Again, letting women have, it goes back to feminism and stuff, is letting women do whatever the hell they want and not tell them, hey, that's bad, that's a bad idea. You can't tell the hot girl no. You
Yeah,
can't do it.
infantilizing women, definitely.
Right. It goes back to that, where you can't tell them no, this is a bad idea. It's all green lights for her. Yes, communism's great. I agree. Letting people from Somalia into your country is such a great idea. And here's the other thing that's really strange is why don't, and this is very, very strange, and this goes for people, Trump supporters and Fox News, that elk, that old school Republican. Why are you still calling them progressives? Why are you not calling them communists? Why is this word progressive replace the word communism?
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? How did that happen? No, they're not progressive. They're fucking communists. Call it. It is what it is. Okay,
Well,
a sheep is still a sheep. I don't care if you you spray painted it neon green. All right, it's still a sheep, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I find it odd that they call themselves progressive, and again, like I said, they wave a Soviet flag, and this is, I guess, just a symbol of communism. But I think the Soviet Union is a real horrible example of communism that you'd want to use. I mean, it wasn't even that long ago.
What good example? Can you show me a good example of communism?
There might be a better one. I'm saying, but still,
where?
I don't know. I'm just.
But now what you just said is what they use as an alibi. You see, Stalin didn't have it right.
Well, then why are they waving? If they say that, why are they waving his flag? See, that's what I don't understand. Like, couldn't they find the right version and wave that flag? Because
I don't know what that flag would be. That's been the emblem. Fascism has numerous flags, but communism really only has one. It's usually red and yellow, right?
And a hammer and a sickle, man.
Right, or the Vietnam Star, or So again, I don't. Well, Cuba's a really shitty example. Again, communism can work maybe on a micro scale, and maybe for Cuba because it's an island and they've been cut off from the rest of the world for the past 40 some years, 50 years or whatever. Not anymore, obviously, but why that? I don't really get it.
If you take the Soviet Union as if they use the Soviet Union as their poster child for communism, the thing is that the Soviet Union didn't fall until it fell in 92. That's not that long ago.
91.
No, 92. 91 was the last year of the Soviet.
Okay.
I was in the Soviet Union in 1991, man. The spring of 91. I was in the Soviet Union. I was there. I saw it. It was like it was the year before it fell. Like it was really it was dead in 92. And I was in Moscow, and I remember the shops. They were empty. There's nothing in the shops.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the glories of communism.
Yeah, the stores were empty, and there was people like lining up to just get your basic necessities. I mean, I saw that shit, and then a year later, it was gone, right? And then
does everybody in that country have to line up and?
Well, I saw a very small portion of it, right? I saw Moscow. It was Leningrad when I went there. Okay, I saw the metropolis, the bigger cities is what I saw. I saw Lenin's tomb, man. I saw his body, and there was a lineup of people to go down into his tomb that stretched blocks and blocks and blocks. I didn't see the end of the line. So the line went through half of Red Square, outside of it, and then just down the road for blocks and blocks and blocks. And the only reason I got in is because I was a tourist, and they just let me go in the front of the line, right?
What?
So, yeah, and then that was 91 when I was there, and then 92 officially it was dead. It was a failure. It was an absolute and utter failure. Yet that's the flag that they're waving.
Yeah, they're waving the flag yet again. And I think this is Jordan Peterson makes this point, and I agree with him, and it's something that I've stated also to people that have leftist leanings, is that well, Stalin and Pol Pot got it wrong. That wasn't really communism. Okay, so what you're saying is that if you were the leader of the Soviet Union, you would have a different view. Okay, you see how now they have a dream in their head on what they want communism to be, when in reality is you'll never be that. You'll never be Stalin. You'll never be the leader of your fantasy. So the better idea is to not have these type of thoughts because they're very childish. It's this dream as if I was king, and that's what they do. Again, you have to have someone in charge of everything, and unfortunately the shit rises to the scum rises to the top, whether it be a corporation or government. The worst psychopath is usually the one that's usually the king. And Trump's obviously a narcissist. It doesn't mean he's narcissistic personality disorder. Let me make that clear. He does not have MPD, but he has narcissistic traits. That is for sure, putting his name on everything. But again, they think that if their vision of communism is the correct vision, and if I push the agenda and help promote communism, I'll get my dream. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of how it's in the it's being pushed through the media. It's not a popular opinion. It's not a majority opinion. It's a very small minority of people, but they have the backing of.
It's like less than, like, I would say it's under 2 million in the U.S.
Yeah, and they have the backing again of these.
We don't know. We do not have names. We know George Soros. Okay, we know Warren Buffett. We know a handful of players.
Whoever owns the media is supporting it, because
those are your friends.
They're the ones that are they're advertising it every day. It's being advertised,
and it's bombarded. My father said something. He thought when Trump would get into office, it would put the kibosh on a lot of the type of things that Obama brought on. A lot of this socialist, these type of diverse, open borders, what have you. Just your typical left. What they stand for, climate change and all that stuff. And he said, "Oh, don't worry. Once Trump gets elected, all that will go away, and it'll go be back to normal, pre-Obama." It's in fact it's been much worse, much louder, and it's metastasized on pretty much everything. I know now it's in the NFL. It's shitty, man. It sucks, and I don't think Americans, especially white Americans, have the balls to stand up and to fight this.
Yeah. Well, something's gonna snap, because I remember before Obama was a fucking household name, there wasn't blacks and whites killing each other wasn't a fucking main media event. Mm-hmm. It took 8 years of Obama before Black Lives Matter became something real.
But have you read Black Lives Matter's manifesto and how retarded it is and how insane?
Horrible. It's fucking horrible.
So it really hasn't. It's gotten worse. And how much is black people are promoted onto the media? If someone from another country was to look at American TV, they would think black people are the majority.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what I'm saying? Which is very bizarre. It's another very strange concept that comes along with the media.
Well, it's manipulation, right? I mean, it's consent. They're manufacturing consent. That's what the media's main intention is to manufacture a consent, and with the consent, then you can push policies with the illusion of consent. All you need is the illusion of it. And then with that illusion, then you push certain policies forward.
Probably
and people
subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff, like war reparations or slavery reparations, and I mean, none of these things will ever really happen. It's not feasible. It's not possible. You would spark some form of insurrection from white people if you were to go about and and try to do a lot of the things that Black Lives Matter and that matters wants.
Yeah,
But the big thing is white man is not going to do fuck all. Okay, and that goes back to why I think MGTOW is a failed philosophy. It's a failure. I'm sorry to say it. MGTOW is a bunch of guys, porn addicted hermits on the internet. They have their closet Nazi fetishes. The Nazis, yeah, the SS. I love those uniforms. The Panzer tank was the yeah. I know what these fucking guys are. I know MGTOW through and through. It's the white race is superior and the IQ, and it's just the same bullshit over and over. It's the Jews who are doing it when most of these guys have never even met a fucking Jew, so you know fuck all about them. And it's stupid white trash fucking dude from Weaseltown, America, open his fucking mouth when he knows nothing about the outside world.
I'd have to disagree because I know MGTOW communities in Indonesia. I know MGTOW communities in the black communities online in YouTube. Huge.
Well, I'm speaking to the libertarian Alex Jones fucking Molyneux fucking types. Okay, the white guy, the pissed off white guy is the one I'm specifically speaking about. I don't know about MGTOW with blacks. I don't know MGTOW with fucking Indonesians. I'm specifically targeting a sect of people who Rand Paul supporting types.
Well, I think most of the guys that you're describing, they don't like MGTOW because the guys you're describing, they love gynocentrism. They love white knighting. They're all about traditionalism and white knighting for women.
Right. They want to go back. They want to rewind the clock to fucking 1880 and fucking neo-Victorian times. I know what they fucking are.
That's definitely not MGTOW. That's antithesis to MGTOW.
What I see with MGTOW, bird's eye view of the general population on YouTube. Again, it's Molyneux. You can look at the subscriptions. You already know what they're going to be subscribed to. Okay, they're going to be subscribed to a Molyneux, Alex Jones, okay, Sovereign Archon, or whatever the fuck his name is. It's the same type, yeah, whatever. Just you know, the world's coming to an end, and then the white race is gonna die off. They probably, Red Ice, that channel. Again, it's a very echo chamber. They don't want to hear someone else's opinion. They don't, there's a reason why socialism has such a huge momentum, is that there is a different view on things, okay? And I try to get a little bit, I listen to both sides of the argument and everything, but I'll give you an example. Hang on one second here. While I was in Cambodia, I met with Europeans that are very anti-Semitic, and they really don't like Jewish people.
Wait a second. Anti-Semitic as in hatred of Semites?
Anti-Semite.
Or hatred of Jews?
The hatred of Jews, okay? They hate Jews. So they send me all this. They send me all these videos and all this stuff about banks and how the Jews manipulate currency and all this stuff. And I started lapping it up. And then when I realized, when I got back to New York, I go, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, these people are no different than me. They probably just want to be left alone, make money, and, they're middle-class families and stuff. I mean, I don't, Samuel and Ethel down the street who do my taxes are plotting against my fucking, against my house and undermining my property rights and telling my women to fuck black guys. I don't see that happening. And what a lot of these people don't understand is if you go down that path, it's always the wrong people that get hurt. And the same thing goes for the war in the Middle East. I don't think... my girlfriend was talking to this guy from Iraq. He ran a fruit stand in Baghdad. And I'm looking at this guy. I go, he seems like a cool guy. He's pretty nice. He's not wearing he's not burqa'd out. He's not wearing typical garb that you'd think of someone from Arab country. He's just selling fruit. He just wants to make a living and wants to be left the fuck alone. And hatred of Muslims. They're coming. Well, this guy's just selling fruit, man. I don't think he's fucking has a shoe bomb and he wants to waste jihad on anybody.
Well, it's a lazy mind. It's a lazy mind that blames all Muslims. It's a lazy mind that blames all Jews. With feminism, it's a lazy mind, a lazy female mind that blames the patriarchy. It's very lazy.
Well, I see a lot of lazy minds in these a lot of these people that are tuned into these type of channels.
Yeah, I agree. And in the MGTOW, you'll see lazy minds too.
I mean, if you read the comment section on that video I did with Molyneux, he's a Jew. And I clearly stated I was Catholic and Italian to Molyneux. And I commented back to the guy. He didn't know who it was me. He goes, I said, you know, the guy Nick said he was Catholic or Italian. He's just covering it up. He doesn't really want to tell everybody he's Jewish.
Yeah,
I go, you fucking retard. Yeah, I don't know, some in the comment section. But again, that's what Molyneux has. That in his camp, he has closet Nazi fetish people that are tuned into his fucking videos.
Well, I'll tell you something. You being a regular on my channel in the last month or so has really brought me outside of what I normally dedicate this channel to, which is all content about men's relationships with women, men's psychology, men's health. That's really what my channel was, and my community was focused on that. We didn't talk about Alex Jones. We didn't talk about Jews. We didn't talk about Muslims. That's the MGTOW community that I know. I don't know a MGTOW community that talks about Jews and Muslims and so on and so forth. I don't know that. I don't know that community. If it exists, it does, but I don't know that. Now, what I do now with you and having guests like Cabin Boy and stuff, I'm doing a little bit slightly different content because I've said all I had to say, you know, about MGTOW, and I can repeat myself. There's always new experiences coming up as being a MGTOW, but what I've noticed is that when being a MGTOW is basically one arm or one limb of red pill experience. There's a lot of intelligent red pill people that can't wrap their head around gynocentrism. You know.
Well, okay. When you talk about gynocentrism, now I was watching. I forgot the guy's name. I'll pull his name up in a second. He's got like 40,000 subscribers. He's like a self-help kind of minimalist. MGTOW expat doesn't like him anymore. They had a falling out. I'll actually pull up his name.
Who is it?
Give me 1 second. Give me a second.
Yeah,
Hang on.
Sure.
Give me just a second.
No problem.
Uno momento, por favor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have it right here. Home. Here he is. Aaron Clary.
Oh, Aaron Clary.
I was
an enemy.
I was subscribed to him. I was subscribed to him for a while. I unsubscribed, then I resubscribed to him. He puts too much content out too often. I'm probably going to unsubscribe again. And he kind of just reinforces everything that I say. He hasn't brought anything new to the table as far as what I know already, unfortunately. But anyway,
Clary is not MGTOW. That man
he's not
MGTOW. He hates MGTOW. I had a huge fight with him when I at the peak of my channel. All right.
Over what?
Just over him. He basically infiltrated the MGTOW community and tried to say that we were all ugly basement dwelling losers that can't get laid. I mean, that was his.
Okay, there is that element. I'm not gonna say. I'm not. He got some points. I understand where he's coming from. His idea is you got to pull up from your bootstraps. You got to be a man about everything. But again, he's much older. He's 40-something years. No, I think he's older. I think he's 50. I don't know how old he is, but he's pretty fucking old. So again, how can he relate to a 30-year-old in this situation? That same thing goes for Molyneux. Same thing with these social conservatives that do not see. They're not in the trenches, okay? They're armchair MGTOW guys. They talk a good game, but they'll never dirty their fucking trench coat. They'll never dirty their trench coat. No. They rather be the generals of this fucking stupid movement. And not this stupid movement, but their ideas are
yeah.
I don't call them
Molyneux's
stupid,
not MGTOW either.
Again.
Molyneux's not MGTOW
right,
either.
He thinks we're stupid. Right, again, they're you're pussies.
Yeah.
Get in there, you're losing your women or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what, I'm just not going to... The problem is that we cannot relate to the average female. they again, this goes back. She wants sushi, you want chicken parmesan. Okay, she wants to go shopping, you want to watch Netflix. Okay, there's no common ground with women where the average guy, you can't relate to them because you have nothing in common.
Yeah.
But what if you had porn in common? Like, what if you?
If you had porn in
You
common,
with the porn. You want to watch porn, don't you? We have to talk about the midgets.
Oh, no.
You've been awfully quiet. What are you doing over there, man?
I thought I heard some midgets squeaking.
Oh
the
no, I
background.
farted.
Oh,
I
shit.
farted.
Okay.
No.
So, but you're right, man. Like, there's no common ground. There's no common ground, and this is the thing. Okay, Clary, maybe as an example, he's older than I am, but he's not that much older. I mean, he's probably considered the same generation,
Right.
and but what I see, and this is where the conflict came back in the day with that was, and he was one of a half a dozen of these YouTube personalities who talked the shit, who talked the talk about men, but didn't walk the walk. He was a handful of these talking heads on YouTube that came down on MGTOW in its peak, in its peak when I was around, and this guy was, they can't get over the fact that you don't need to worship the pussy. You can relate to it on a completely different level.
Well,
you
that's
don't
where you came from.
And you don't lose some kind of identity as a man if you don't pander to women. There's this real, and I hate to say this, cabin boy, but I've seen this in the Native community. Native men are some of the biggest blue-pilled simps I've ever met in my life. Like they will beat the shit out of each other over an ugly Native woman.
Yeah, they actually, killed each other.
Yes.
Or one murdered one because of a woman.
Yes.
This was like 3 years ago. 2 years ago on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
And because maybe he was jealous of the one couple there, and he was friends with the guy and whatnot, and he went over there drunk and saw them together and got enraged and
killed them.
Three of them.
Yeah.
There was a younger kid there.
Right. You should never be fighting over a woman.
Absolutely.
And if the woman is obviously got you, if a woman's got you embattled over another guy, then it's that you as a man and the other guy should be looking at her as the enemy. You shouldn't be looking at each other as the enemy.
Away.
I know, right? Yeah, this is like she's the problem. Not us,
right.
Not food.
It's a Helen and Troy situation, man. It's that's you're fighting over chicks and stuff. But that goes to the behavioral sink. Right?
Yeah, right.
Remember
that goes to the behavioral sink. It goes right back to that whole mouse utopia where the guys are embroiled over a handful of women.
Well, this is the thing, man. This is what separates human beings from animals. We can compare our behaviors, but we have the actual ability to observe and change our behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
We can.
Okay, but again, this is what I was talking to you last week about, is that MGTOW, again, the guys who are checking out and stiffing women is, again, you're mirroring what you hate, right? It's a form of projective identification. You're now reflecting. You're reflecting each other. Okay, so she's ignoring you, and you're ignoring her. And what I've written about is that it's an insecurity and it's an ego. So what you do now is, I can fuck her if I really wanted to. Okay, but it's a self-defeating behavior because you actually never tried. So you're boiling it down to just basics where I don't really need to talk to her. If I really wanted her, I can get it. Right, and she's doing the same thing, where she's so insecure that she's not going to go and talk to you. She's just going to boil it down. Oh, he's looking at me. He wants to fuck me. I'm not going to make an effort into engaging. It's an avoid, an approach and avoid repetition, where you keep doing it back and forth, and you get nowhere.
Well, you're talking on if I was to make that, if I was to take that comment that you said, that you just made, and compare it to what I understand of the MGTOW movement or philosophy, that's a very introductory concept for most people when it comes to MGTOW. whole idea that you're saying is still focused around a man's identity somehow being wrapped up with a relationship, in a relationship with a woman. In other words, a man doesn't have an identity unless he somehow has his person wrapped up in a relationship with a woman. The deeper you get into MGTOW, you understand that you don't need that at all. It's not, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I see a lot of men trying to find their identity in women, whereas a MGTOW would approach it from this angle and say, my identity is in myself, my abilities to create, my abilities to do what I do best as a man, and that's where I find my identity. What's the point of approaching a woman if I don't even have, if I can't even identify with who I am, you know, as an individual man?
So you got to basically know yourself before you know somebody else.
Well, and this is, and we're talking about man and woman. I mean, there's a big difference. There's a huge biological and psychological difference between men and women and how we relate to one another.
All right, want to interrupt here because George Sovereign just messaged me about the comment section. Invincible Summer. All right, so what do you got to say, man? Instead of talking shit, what the fuck you got to say? Let's hear it from your perspective. Comment section. What don't you like? What don't you like? I have to say about MGTOW. See, now this is where MGTOW gets all defensive. Well, she's talking shit. Okay, let me hear what the comment section has to say, because you can't just start spewing hate and without backing up what you have to say.
I wasn't paying attention because it was quiet for a while. I don't know. We got the Truth Messenger in there.
How do you check the comments?
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Consulting is great. Yeah, I think the asshole consulting's pretty good. He's got good point. If you're looking for a good bird's eye view on help and self-help and stuff, his channel is really good. But again, you don't have to go to, you don't have to turn to YouTube for advice. Go talk to an older guy. You know, my guitar teacher, he's 50, he's going to be 60 years old. And he offers kind of like the same advice as asshole consulting gives. You know, if you just talk to your dad, talk to your uncles, talk to your grandfathers. My grandfather is an old school misogynist douchebag. He's a good person to turn to when it comes to just crazy bitches. So you can always talk to elders and talk to your friends. Have good people around you. You don't really need to. You don't need psychologists. You don't need YouTube. You don't need to donate to some guy's YouTube channel for help, because unfortunately the answers you're gonna get are the answers you already know already. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, I got the comment of the night here, Cabin Boy. It's by a random douchebag. He says it's not an Indian party without a stabbing.
Well, it's summer. Say write out what your problem is. Instead of saying what you're mad or butthurt by what I'm speaking about, write out your point of view, and we can discuss it on air.
So
that's all.
Somebody said, it's what? What did you say?
It's not a party. It's not an Indian party without a stabbing.
Oh.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Well,
no, it's not an Indian or it's not a party till somebody gets scalped.
Scalped, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
When he gets scalped, yeah, I'll do the scalping here. And
well, there was another guy, another Indian guy that I know that comes into the store, and one day he comes in he's got a twin brother. Maybe you know him. I don't know. Big guys, twin brothers. Comes into the store. I haven't seen him in a while either, so maybe, I don't know. I hope he's still alive. But anyway, he comes in. It's like, oh man, last night I got stabbed in the chest. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, this party, crazy party, I got stabbed in the chest. I'm like, what the fuck? Did you go to the hospital? Yeah, I went to the hospital.
That's horrible.
I know. And I'm like, what are you doing here buying alcohol, dude?
Yeah.
Ease the pain.
Just to keep.
He's got to pour it into his wound.
Yeah.
No, it's got to come out of his wound.
My God.
Oh, I can't feel that.
Oh, God, I would hate to get stabbed. I'd rather be shot.
Yeah. Stabbed in the chest, and then he's buying booze the next day, noon. Just like that guy I told you that died.
That's a warrior.
Yeah.
That's a warrior, man.
That's a fucking warrior. Just like that guy I told you died. He overdosed. They bring him back to life,
Yeah,
and he's in
then
it
he
the next
and
day.
He gets what, a bottle of vodka or something?
Yeah, he came in, bought a bottle of vodka. I'm like, holy fuck, man, you were dead yesterday.
He's like,
He's
I'm
like,
not
"Oh,
gonna fall for that. All for that hand sanitizer, that mouthwash. I'd rather drink vodka.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go high class
Yeah,
today.
put
Get
up a
some
notch,
vodka.
and I'm gonna go take a nature walk.
You know, going back to MGTOW, I think a lot of what people forget, what the O stands for in MGTOW, your own way. It's you doing your own thing. You don't. It doesn't have to be.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be categorized into something where feminism, it has a category. You know, it doesn't. You know, there's no branches. It's you. It's you as the individual. It's your own way, whatever that might be. Right? You don't have to follow somebody. You know, you don't need someone to lead you to the water, or the fresh stream.
Yeah.
You don't have to be
absolutely.
red pilled on certain levels. You know, you don't have to be in a category to be technically MGTOW, because again, it's your own way. It's your way,
It's
whatever
your own way,
that might
but
be.
you're forgetting the one aspect: men. It's male, and the reason it's male is because, and it's very important too, as part of the philosophy, is that there is in the modern Western world, there is no place for masculinity and males anymore. The YMCA is no more. The male clubs are no
Let
more.
me interrupt real quick. Summer, you're not getting on this channel until you speak or write out what your point of view is. All right. So I'm not going to debate you. Okay. Listen, if you got an axe to grind, don't be a fucking idiot. I'll be sure to let the filings hit you in the face, buddy. All right. So type. You have a keyboard. Instead of talking shit, write your point of view, and then we'll talk. Until then, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you can send messages for sure. Because there was another guy that wanted to come on, and I told him you need to contact me first, and we'll have a little chat. But he never got back to me, so he's not here.
Not hitting you.
New York accents, really.
You're not saying anything. Again, Summer, you're just writing, I'm not subscribing to you, blah, blah, blah. What's your point? What don't you like what I had to state?
Nick doesn't have a channel. Anyway.
He's not doing it.
So NNEO 100, he asked if I talked to Paul Proteus yet. No, I have not, and I need to. I really, really need to. By the way, another guy was in the chats here that you guys may know, JGG. I used to talk to him a lot, and I might try to get him to come into these chats again, if you guys know who he is. But yeah, Paul Proteus, definitely. I haven't done it. And JGG, I'll try to get him in too. He's a cool guy. He's actually homosexual, but he's a MGTOW supporter. He's European.
Oh, that's not haram.
It's not halal. It's not halal.
That's not communist.
Okay, we talked about gynocentrism before. Let's take a look at some countries that are very gynocentric, and I point to Vietnam as a really good example where it's very gynocentric, it's very feminist, but the way women get their point across is through sex. They fuck the guys into submission to get their point, to get what they want. You see what I'm saying? So Vietnam is a very skewed way of looking at feminism, where the women put out in order to get their what they want, whereas in America they don't seem to do that.
So if the Vietnam woman wants the guy to get a job, she has to have sex with him, and well,
the men don't work. And again, we're now venturing in North America, where the women just dominate the workforce. Look, now you get to pay taxes. Now you got to go and work. Now you got to do everything. In Eastern Europe, where feminism really originated from was Eastern Europe, the European bloc, is that the women they had to work and have children. In Romania, it was mandatory by the state. I forgot the guy's name. I don't want to mispronounce the leader of Romania's name, but
It's
he
all right.
would send police in to make sure the women were having children, and that's where a lot of the Romanian the orphanages of Romania was a big thing in the 90s because women were forced to have children because of the demographic problem in Romania.
Right.
So now they had to work, 40 plus hours a week and raise a child. So now we are in America is that the women now have to work and do twice, a lot more chores because the men are not actually
Well, well,
doing
the problem
anything.
is though, is modern feminism in the West is women are working more, but they're not working the jobs that are killing men. They're not working on the streets. They're not working in the ditches. They're not working on roofs. They're not doing anything dangerous. Okay, they want the glass ceiling, but they don't want the glass basement. Okay, they want the cushy jobs that pay a lot of money, but they don't want to fucking do the jobs that build infrastructure, and they're actually dangerous, and they won't do them.
No, yeah. Do they want to work, fixing, rail guards on a highway? Do they want to
No,
get into the sewers? No, they want a cushy job, administrative
exactly,
jobs, and what have you. But
exactly.
again, now you're at the point where the men don't have a role, right? So the men are turning into what the men in Vietnam are, which is just drunks, right? And the men don't really work. Same thing in Cambodia. If you go to a construction site, it's all women on the construction site. The plumbers, the bricklayers and what have you are all women, and the guys are just stand around and do nothing.
Oh my God, that's
I don't know, man.
Yeah, man.
If
So it's a complete role reversal, and we didn't have that in the West, and now we're facing that where the men are, now minimalist. They don't want to gain resources. They don't really want to go out and be productive members of society. They just want to sit around, play Xbox, and just jerk off to porn and midget porn and what have you.
well, it's not even just video games and porn. I mean, a lot of men are turning to uh, personal hobbies that are fulfilling. Not just video games.
Right?
Video
Yeah.
games is easy. Porn's easy, but anything that comes that maybe they would not put the energy into because society says no. You are the one that comes last when the boat sinks. That's your role. When the ship sinks, you die. That's your role. No, and then men are like, no, actually, you know what? I don't want that role anymore. I'm gonna go fucking learn to play the guitar, and you can go fuck yourself. And
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
right.
Right. So now again, women have to pick up the burden, and they're miserable. They're miserable over it because they're not having sex. They have to
Mm-hmm.
work now, pay taxes, be single moms because they wanted it their way, and they're paying the price for it.
Yeah.
Nick, you remember what we were discussing earlier where I'm from, right? Remember my siblings were telling me not to get in that married lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's because it's the other way around. Like the men are supposed to work, right? And back in the day, when we were living in teepees hunting buffalo, the men always went out hunted buffalo. They bring it home. The women would make clothing and food and whatnot for the whole tribe, right? And like nowadays, it seems like the women are trying to take control of the men, right? And say, okay, well, you can't go out and play pool with your friends. You can't go out and drink without me there. I have to be there so no one takes you away from me and stuff like that. And there's a strong debate between First Nations women and First Nations men. Who's the jealous one, right? And
Right.
to me, it's just like, okay, it's the man. Everybody says, yeah. Is it the women? Yeah. And you don't know, like, and like that. All that leads into like other stuff. Like, say if someone was like very what do you call it? Not faithful, right? Like a cheater. Okay, for instance, let's say the woman was the cheater in the relationship, right? The man would just say, "Fuck you, I'm going somewhere else. You did enough to me," and the same thing with the woman, right? So if the woman finds out that the man was cheating, she would go all out and say, "You're out of the house. I don't want nothing to do with you." And it's more like a powerful voice, right? And it was just like,
Well,
and then
First Nation women aren't. They're not immune to the feminist dogma that's fucking thick in the media and
Yeah.
politics of Canada. They're not immune to it. They get the same dose. I mean, I've some of the First Nation women I've met are some of the most arrogant motherfuckers.
they are, yeah.
It's just like, I'm a
Arrogant about
woman.
what?
Well, I'm a woman and I'm an Indian.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's
Bow to me.
virtue signaling and
Yeah.
identity.
Yeah. Bow to me. Like some of the most arrogant, and it's almost like they learn it from a kid, and it never leaves them. It's just this.
No, they learn it from their mom.
Yeah, of course they do. But their moms learn it from a
Right.
system that promotes that. I'm an Indian and I'm a woman. Worship me. I can do no wrong. And that's fucked up, man.
Pretty much spread her legs and say, "You could have your way with me, and I'll have my way with you." That's why, like, I'm single because I'd rather be with a white woman rather than a native.
Ah, see, you want that white skin.
Yeah.
He's got white
So
fever.
wait, so where's Invisible Summer? Where'd you go? Oh, you didn't want to type 10,000 words. That means you have nothing to say, obviously, with your fucking queer name, Invisible Summer. See what I'm saying? I want to rewind real quick. I'm not gonna, pander to this individual, but he's mad about what I had to state, what I had to say. I
About
asked
what?
him,
About MGTOW?
please state your case. Whatever. I don't know. I said something that made him upset. He didn't tell me what I stated that made him upset.
Oh, okay.
Instead, he just started name calling, and obviously it went nowhere. Now he disappeared. So I asked him, please state your problem. I'm more than willing to listen to you, or whatever it is you had to write. He didn't write it.
Oh well. Well,
That's all.
Oh,
That's
now
all.
I can-
Thank you. See, sovereign seas. Yep.
I
It was
can
the
see all the
MGTOW
comments.
comment.
yeah, because you were saying some negative stuff about MGTOW, which is fine. I mean, I don't care. But you got to remember though, most of my listeners are pretty headstrong MGTOW. So
Hardcore MGTOW. I understand that, but you have again I agree with most of MGTOW, but the issue with MGTOW is that it needs more of a drive. It can't just be an online presence. It needs to be more active. You have to be, if you got to undo the courts. I mean, the biggest issue is why guys aren't getting married. It's not the cost of having children. It's not so much Western women. It's the fear of getting a divorce. I think that's probably my biggest fear about getting married,
Yeah.
is that the courts are so heavily
They're so
favored
biased.
towards women.
Yeah.
Because that's the end.
But they're completely biased. And
Yeah.
you be active. Get out there. You have
That's
to
what the
form
men's
a group
rights
and
activists are
meet in
doing.
person.
That's what the MRAs are doing. And if you talk to people in the men's rights circles, it's the MRAs that are the activists. That's what they're called, men's rights activists. And they're also the ones that get the most hate. They're also the ones that are compared to Nazis. MGTOW are under the radar. Nobody fucking gives a shit about them. And that's why people kind of like this philosophy. They like self-improvement, and they like it under the concept of maleness or masculinity. And they like the ability to walk away and sort of not have to butt heads with the feminists and get called Nazis and get bad-mouthed in the media. Nobody talks about MGTOW. Nobody.
No, this is the first time that I ever heard of it. I was just going to ask, like, what is it?
Well, it's men going their own way, but it's basically a lifestyle choice. That's all it is. It's a philosophy and a lifestyle choice. But with men's rights activists, NNEO 100 says MGTOW are MRAs. And in a way, you could say that, but not really, because most MGTOW don't activate anything except themselves.
Right.
We're not.
That's part of my gripe with MGTOW is, again, it's a bunch of, I want to say, circle jerking on a Molyneux video. It fucking doesn't get you anywhere. I'm watching Molyneux, and now I'm gonna watch big titty fucking some black chick, and that's really. And I'm calling it a night after I eat this fucking Twinkie. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna get anywhere doing that,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like, Okay, here's another difference between MRA and MGTOW. MRAs have a big voice online. They're a big online presence. So are MGTOW. They're a big online presence. But the thing is MRAs still will allow women to speak for them. Okay?
Yeah.
They'll allow women to speak for them. They'll say, "Okay, come on in, woman, and speak for us, represent us." And that's and for MGTOW, that's like, no.
No, that defeats the purpose.
That's the whole. This is my. It's like a men's club. It's like no. It's a men's club. That means.
But there's a woman talking.
Women don't come here. They go in their own clubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example,
but here's the problem. The reason why do they need women to do it? Because they need a woman to speak for, to try to get the point across to other women.
Exactly.
Right? And it's the same thing with having gays in the Republican Party. You need a gay guy to stand up for Republicans. No, that you can't do that. That you can't do
and this
it.
Is the thing. And this is the thing. Okay, here's a real life example where myself and Cab and Boy are living right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken to homeless men. The homeless ratio of homeless men to homeless women is like 98% men, and that's nationwide. Okay, it's a fucking problem for men, not for women. 98% of the men in this country are homeless compared to the rest, 4% or whatever of homeless people being women. Mm-hmm. In the town that we live in, which is not a big town, there is a YMCA and a YWCA. The YWCA has its doors open to shelter homeless women.
And it's like,
oh, that's fucked up. What the
and
fuck is that?
The YMCA does not. So if you're a homeless man, your only option is to go to the shelter and sleep in bunks with the crackheads and fucking.
No, you sleep on mats. You sleep on exercise mats, and you're given a toenail blanket that like smells like an old couch.
Yeah, and you're rolling around in like syphilis with fucking crackheads next to you.
You got the other homeless people that smell like an old couch and farting and don't change their socks or their clothes, and it's fucking.
That's what men have. That's what men have. Yeah, and the women, they've got these nice little shelters with their own rooms and showers,
sipping champagne.
Yeah. It's fucking disgusting.
They could just
that's wild, man.
They could, and that's why have a few beers at the bar and come back to the YMC or YWC and say, "Oh, how was your night?" Okay, well, I had a blood bed to sleep on. And I was just like, because I always ride my bike by there every day, and it's just like, fuck, they have it fucking easy. That's bullshit.
Yeah, and all the guys can do is go downtown, buy a boot Mickey of vodka, have a couple drinks, and then go home to sleep next to syphilis. Yeah, that's all they got, man.
or age or whatnot, but.
Well, this goes back. You have to protect your women. You know, the woman's a fragile creature. They want it all. Or are you a fragile flower, or are you going to go fight?
Or are you strong and independent?
which one is it? Fragile flower, or you're going to go fight ISIS? Which you got to decide which one you're going to be. You can't have it both ways. And again, I think what the issue is with women. I'm sorry, I'm very fucked up when I have some views I have of women are very fucked up. One of them is they can't make decisions. I don't think women are capable of making decisions. And I don't want to rip on my stepmom in case she's fucking listening to me, but I'll give you a great example on women can't making decisions. I purchased for my stepbrother a huge swing set in the backyard. Okay, and I did it when she was on vacation because I know when she came back, she's going to alter the whole thing I had planned for my little brother. Sure enough, it didn't come in time, and she came back from vacation, and she took over the whole project that I had for my little brother. Guess what? The whole play set is still in boxes in the backyard for 3 months now because she still hasn't just made up her mind on what she wants to do with that I already had planned out. And I leave it there. I don't say anything, and I'm going to let it sit there and let it rot in the backyard. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think you should just stand up and say, okay, don't say anything to her and just set up this.
No, because she'll get passive aggressive. I'm being too aggressive with her. It's not your house. right? And then it goes into that type of argument where the whole argument was you took over something that I had planned out. Came in with a mission. I knew what I wanted to build. I wanted to do all these things. She comes and says, okay, I want to put it over here. No, I want to put it over here now. No, I'm going to do this. No, maybe put the swing set there. And it just keeps going and going and going. Where I'm much more misogynist and saying, no, you're gonna shut the fuck up. This is what we're gonna fucking do, and you need to go into that room right now, or I'm gonna put holes in the wall, punching, holes in the wall.
That's
You
what
see
I
what I'm
feel like
saying?
doing at work. That's what I feel like doing at work because my boss is a woman, right? And she bites my head off for just a tiny mistake. She's
No,
like,
yeah.
"Why did you do this? Why did
Give
you?"
women
And
a little authority. Ooh.
yeah, and
No, women can't have authority. Don't give them any
no,
fucking authority.
No,
The only
if
time
you
you get
do.
authority is when my dick is in your fucking mouth.
well, I'm not gonna do that to my boss because like, ugh. Yeah, I think I was like what, or she was like fifth or same age as me when I was born. But anyways, it bugs me when my boss tells me what to do, and I'm just looking at her like second guessing. And the big boss that comes in once in a while, she tries to make up like a different small job for everyone to do, and I'm the only one that raises my hand and say, okay, what's the purpose of this? What's the purpose? What are the results you're looking for? Because everybody's too scared to speak up. I'm the youngest one at work, and I always ask them, okay, your big idea, what is this about? Do you think everybody's going to remember that? Like, and I'm the only, well, I'm more computer savvy, more than my boss and the big boss, right? And they always have to ask me questions. And I said, well, if you want me to figure out this little glitch on the computer, you're gonna have to let me make some of my rules. And my rules is that we don't have to follow everything you say. One day I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that because I get very tired of getting pushed around by a woman.
Yeah.
It's just like we're married.
It's having a woman as your boss is one of the fucking worst
You know.
experiences. Trust me.
Oh,
If you're a man,
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna interrupt here, and I'm gonna be a little bit. I don't want to boost my own ego, but I'm pretty good looking, and I see I get kind of different treatment being good looking, where women are much more helpful towards me, and they
okay.
Yeah,
kind of like protect me a little bit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And women want to like help. They do. They're much more like I don't really have the view of where women shouldn't be in education. There should be more guys in it. So like women want to help. They want to, oh, you need help with this. So being good looking kind of really like, I'm able to like,
Yeah, fair enough.
get into that groove with them. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Fair enough. There's a reality to that. I agree.
I'm just gonna use the bathroom quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. But I have come across a number of articles in the past. I mean, this is in the past when I was doing research for other stuff, but that had data on a bunch of different companies surveying what the employees, who they preferred as a boss, and most women preferred male bosses. Most men preferred male bosses. Most people prefer male
Right.
bosses than they do female. Even women. Women prefer to have a male boss than a female boss. And if you understand how competitive women are and petty with one another, then you kind of you understand why.
There's a guy in the comment section about the Arctic Circle. I read your comments, man. That's really cool that you.
Hey, yeah, calm cows. If you want to join a chat with us at any time, send me a message first on Google Hangouts, and then I can chat with you there first. Because I had another guy that wanted to do that from last week. His name was Armchair Revolutionary, and I tried to get in touch with him yesterday. Chat with you there first, because I had another guy. Whoa. That wanted to do that from last week. His name was Armchair Revolutionary, and I tried to get in touch with him yesterday. What the fuck? Hello?
Hello.
Am I still there? Can you guys hear me?
I could hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, I could hear you. I think I
Nick, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't hear Nick. Like something happened. Something went really screwy there, man. I was hearing myself talk as an echo.
Oh yeah, I think because I went on YouTube for a live.
Oh, yeah. Turn that off. Mute it. Mute the channel if you get it.
Okay. No, I'm not on it now. I just checked it out for.
Okay. You can watch it and to see the chat, just mute it, and then you don't get the echo.
Yeah.
But yeah, chaos come
mute it.
chaos. I had another guy too that wanted to chat. I tried to get a hold of him yesterday. However, he didn't get back to me, so he's not here. If somebody wants to talk, let me know in advance. Just contact me on Google Hangouts, and then I can talk to you beforehand, and we can arrange it. But anyway, Nick, are you still there? I can't. Are you there? Did he leave? Did he?
I hope he didn't get murdered.
No, he's
You
gone.
lose me there?
No, there he is.
Yep, sorry, my apologies.
That's all right.
Where were
You
you?
weren't
Go
watching.
on.
No. I was just addressing the chat room about people that want to talk. If they want to talk, contact me on Google Chats first, and we can arrange it for the following week. That kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So, what of are you, now? How far away do the two of you live from each other? You guys are in the same town.
Same town, man. I mean, it's a small town. Fuck.
We work like what?
And how did you guys meet?
From work. His work. He comes over to where I'm selling booze, and he buys booze from me.
Yeah, and I give money to people that bring in their empty beverage containers. I don't know if they do that.
We have a lot of the same clients.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that in New York where you're from, Nick. But people that
Recycle. Everybody recycles.
Yeah, but get money from it. I just heard that in the States.
Yeah, we get 5 cents a can.
Yeah, they have deposit.
That's all?
Deposit.
5 cents. So
I think that comes from New York. I think New York is the originator of the can collecting.
Yeah, that's a deposit. Concept of deposit.
No, I think we started it around here because
You damn Canadians with your fucking environmental bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, we're better, like because we. No, I was just wondering where it originated from. The recycling.
70s, man. It was the 70s.
I thought it was in the war.
Oh, I don't know.
World War One, because a lot of people recycled their steel, like their steel containers that contained honey and oil and beverage containers, like their bottles and stuff, right? I thought that's where it originated from.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, like Nick, where you're from, do they do that? Do they bring in their empty beverage containers and get money and go to the liquor store?
Yeah, well, that was my job maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. I was the porter to a supermarket, and I was in charge of the bottle room. And you see some of the worst people of society in that bottle room.
Yeah.
I'm sad to say, it was mostly homeless. A lot of people with schizophrenia, not the violent kind of schizophrenia, but a lot of African Americans, a lot of illegal immigrants were in there. And the illegal immigrants were very, very kind. They were really nice people. Unfortunately, they were coming with like 6 kids. They half of them aren't clothed. I'm like, I was like, God damn it! And they come in with like fucking cases of Coronas. They got to deposit.
Yeah, those kids probably drink it too. No, that's what I see at work as well. Is and they're probably like right away convicts or people on probation and shit like that. And I always see them, and
I just threw the dumpster.
Some of them are the nicest. Some of them, I have a vibe, a very negative vibe towards them, right? And I was just like, oh gosh, I don't want to deal with this guy. He's just like looking at me, and we have to open the register and give him money. I'm just waiting for the one day that 2 things would happen. One, somebody's going to reach in and try to grab all that money, while I'm trying to cash them out, or two, a rattlesnake comes out of their bag.
Hey, give me 1 second, guys. I want to put my phone on a charger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't think they would. Bottle depots get robbed, do they? They don't get robbed.
Yeah, they do. We
They
hear
do?
about it. Yeah, in northern Alberta, there's some of them are brave enough or stupid enough to go into Bottle Depot. If they know that they're giving out cash, they pull out a knife or tell the clerk, say, "Hey, give me all that money," you know. And I'm waiting for that to happen. I don't know if that would either make my day or break my day. But I'm going to be coming up to the liquor store. You and Key are going to ask, "How's your day?" I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, right. Who the fuck is that?
That was wonderful.
Who is that?
It's me. Whoopsie.
Are you trying to break into a car or something, man?
What was that? Like a burglar alarm?
You're not
Yeah,
stealing
because I was
anything,
outside and they locked me out of the house.
Oh.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, so
Anyway, sorry for that brutal interruption.
Are the cops gonna come now?
No, I think I disarmed it quick enough. So anyway, so where's this all going to lead? When do you think all this leftist nonsense is going to come to an end? That's what I really want to know. Like, how is this going to play out? How long is this going to keep going on for? It can't keep going.
you know what? The world's going to end. Like down in California, they're going to burn to death. On the East Coast, they're going to flood to death. Here in Canada, we might just freeze to death. But I think where
What,
we're
you believe in climate change is what you're saying?
Yeah, and I think where me and Ayam Sirias are from, we'll be all right. We just got to watch it on the news,
Fuck.
Look, I don't believe in Americans as a whole don't believe in climate change at all.
Okay,
I mean,
because but Cabin Boy, what he was talking about is the politics, not the weather. Fuck the weather. Weather's fine. Weather will just
fine here.
keep changing.
I just wish it would snow year round around here.
You like it? You like the snow?
Of course, I ride my bike through the snow, and
fuck that.
I get drunk and I strip down to my underwear and make snow angels.
Oh my god, you midget stripping now?
He strips in the snow. Fuck that, man. No,
down to my underwear.
I don't.
Garbage. I don't want no one taking pictures of me while I'm making snow angels.
Yeah.
But I love the cold weather.
Yeah, I know.
But back up. I'm talking about how is this all going to pan out
politics.
with this leftist indoctrination? Where is this going? How is this going to stop? Where
I don't
is this
see an
going to
end because it has a bottomless pit of money to fund it. Like they're never going to run out of money.
Mother Nature's out there to renew herself, just like a snake sheds its skin.
Are you talking fucking apocalypse shit now?
Way beyond, yes.
Because that's leftist shit too, though. I mean, leftists push the whole.
It is.
The leftists push the whole end of the world bullshit with their climate change. It's part of their. Socialist fucking manifesto, man. I mean, the whole concept of climate change is so religious, so much religious indoctrination. It's the fucking original sin all over again.
Yeah,
they just borrow shit from the Bible and turn it into politics.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Because if you think about the Northwest Territories, when just global warming takes advantage of the world, they're going to die off. They're
You
gonna
know when
die.
the world ends? When you die, and the world doesn't go with you. And I know a lot of old guys that believe in climate change, and they want the world to end because they want the world to go with them when they pass away.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes a real religious fucking fanatical concept, man. I mean, it's got to be apocalyptic. You can't have a religion without an end of the world scenario. Number one, because you have to keep the end being nigh. You understand? Because that keeps people in line.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they copy a lot of the Catholic doctrine where they say it's original sin. In other words, because you're born and live, you're creating a footprint on the world that you have to pay a tax to. It's so fucked up, man.
I mean, you think about the
I want to just interrupt one comment section talking about the Soviet failed because people didn't have incentive to work. That is correct. The what I learned when I worked as I used to fix fuel injecting equipment for diesel engines, and my boss went over to the Soviet Union to see how the Russians handled their injection equipment. And what was really fascinating is that they got all their work done within the first hour or two, so they can spend the rest of the time drinking. So they knew that if they kept working really hard or doing a really good job, their reward was just more work. So what they would do is lie. They would get all the work done in the first 2 hours and not tell any of the higher ups that they were done working, and then just drink the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's actually when I was there, when I told you I visited in '91. What I noticed, because it was a pretty fascinating time to visit the place, and another thing I noticed besides the fucking empty shelves in the stores was that everybody had a job to do, even if it was the most mundane fucking thing. Like the hotels that I stayed in, there would be a lady sitting at a desk in the hallway, and her only job was you handed her the key to your room when you left, and then when you came back, she gave it back to you. That was her whole fucking job.
What?
Just
Well, that brings up another point. Look at what's happened in America now. Is that you have people in corporations now, and their job is only to put stickers on like a ladder. Do not go past this certain step, and that's their job the entire time. Or if you go into the public sector, where it's someone holding a stop and go sign for traffic. I mean, that person's making $20, $30, $40 an hour, and all they're doing is holding a sign. You see?
Yeah.
Well, you think about that kid that's holding the sign for Little Caesar's Pizza here in town.
Yeah, his job is to just stand there.
Well,
and hold the sign.
those people are making no money. Hey, it's really weird. I don't want to talk about what happened to me this week. AM already knows, but I'm now looking again for a job, and what I find very troubling and disturbing is that regardless of the job requirements, regardless of whatever the position or qualifications are for a certain position for help wanted ads, is every job seems to be paying the same rate. It's about between a $30,000 to $50,000 range for any job. It could be a store manager to a supermarket, or you could be working at Wall Street. The rate of pay is relatively all the same. So I see a problem with that. Is that growing up or whatever, you would have a diverse range of salaries from one end of the spectrum to the other. One would be a minimum wage job, the other could be $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 job. But now it's boiled down to just between $12 an hour to $25 an hour. And that seems to be very strange, and I don't see how we can grow economically if people are all making roughly the same amount of money.
Well, did you know that the minimum wage here is going up to $13 an hour this month?
It's $13.50, I heard.
$13.50 an hour this month, and then next year, by the end of next year, it's supposed to be up to $15.
So I don't know what the ramifications are of that. I couldn't tell you.
I don't know either.
Again, that
We'll
plays
find
into what
out.
I'm saying is that if someone's making $13 an hour, you're forced to give that guy $13 an
Yeah,
hour,
forced to.
and
No,
now you're bringing down someone else's salary to offset that person's money.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Because I don't know.
Where you work there, I am. We're probably making two different. Right.
Mhm.
But what is it next month? It's going to kick in.
Okay, they
Yeah.
want to raise the minimum wage to $13.50 an hour, Canadian dollars an hour here in southern Alberta in October. Next spring they're going to put it up another dollar, and then next fall they're putting it up to 15, where it's supposed to even out.
They're trying to catch up with the inflation. I understand what the idea is behind that.
Mhm.
So does this mean that I don't have to look for a rich white woman to live off of, or because
Well,
that's where I'm heading down to? I'm not going to live with the
rich white woman.
woman because they're not around.
Rich
Rich
white
white
woman,
woman.
every man's dreams.
A rich white woman.
If
Yeah,
your
of
dick doesn't
course.
get hard to it, though, she's gonna know you're not interested in her and you just want her money.
I don't know how that works, man. If you want a rich white woman, you're probably going to have to be a lot younger.
Well, to these ones that keep hitting on me at work, I'm a lot younger than they are. And
Oh, there you go.
it's like,
How do they look, though? Is your dick able to get hard to them? Is the question. No alcohol, and you can't have midget porn on in the background.
And wouldn't alcohol even make it worse?
Oh no, I'll fuck anything that's warm when I'm wasted.
I suffer from whiskey addiction, so I can't drink if I'm going to do that. You know.
Oh no, I'm mad. I either want to cry, fight, or fuck when I'm drinking.
Oh man, yeah, because like I've never been down that path. White girl, but she wasn't that rich, and then she.
Well, are they attractive? That's what we're asking you. Are they
course,
good enough to bang?
Yeah, of course they clean up and shower every day.
Okay, why are you so attracted to white women?
It's not because of the money. It's
Is that I mean, that's what you see mostly, I'm guessing, right?
yeah, I'm just like, oh, I put my face in.
Canadian women are hot. I will say that.
Oh, they are, yeah, especially if they live out in the woods, know how to hunt and chop trees.
Oh, that's right up your alley. Some cultural sensitivity.
Yeah, you know.
Then maybe trade wampum. Show them your longhouse.
Okay, I'm gonna get this straight here. We don't exchange wigwams or wampum here. That's the Native American side, right? If you don't know what wampum is, it's a belt. It's a belt that tells a story, right? And you just wear it around your waist, and that's like being a millionaire. And with the wigwams, that's a form of house. It's like an igloo, but it's made out of wood.
Longhouses seem pretty badass, though. They had those things pretty pimped out back in the day.
Here they all had teepees, man, because they're all prairie.
But how do you stay warm in that, man? You have to be freezing up where you are.
No, in the teepee. Okay, so you lay in a circle, right? You got all your family members, your cousins, whatnot, sleeping. But what they used to sleep on was bison. Not skin. The what do you call it? Well, you lay on a bison fur, pretty much, right?
Right.
And the fire's right in the center, and the exhaust is up in the upper part of the teepee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could have best of both worlds. If it gets too hot, you just move closer to the teepee poles and the hide. But if you get cold, if you get cold, then you move closer to the fire, right? And you know, a very interesting thing that I just learned about years ago is that when us First Nations, we built a camp right near to like water and the small game. the first person in the camp to start their fire, they would take the bison horn and they would scoop embers up, and they go to every camp and spread it into their fire, right? And go to the next camp, and so on and so on. So they made a perfect circle of,
That's pretty cool.
tribe. Yeah, and with the brain, they would smush the brain, and they would smother it onto the. I'd have to say the skin part. The other side of the fur, make it soft. And I don't think they even ate the brain. I'm not too sure, but I knew they ate the tongue and the heart and the other organs as well.
Well, you utilize all parts of the animal, which is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and just waste nothing. You're not supposed to waste.
Yeah, you don't waste anything. That's pretty neat, man. I'd like to know more. I'd love to be a part of and learn more about One Nation and their culture.
Well, come up here, come up to the Blood Reserve, and we'll show you how.
Take 'em to
You know
the
what? I
Blood
do plan on
Reserve.
doing a road trip.
That's what
I would definitely. I'm into road trips, man. I'll definitely take my car and travel and see you guys. Mark
No,
it. I will do it someday. Don't know when. Maybe sooner than later, but I'll definitely make a trip up to you guys.
You should do a sweat, man. That's what you got to do. Do a sweat.
Yeah, the sweat.
What's
lodge.
that?
Okay,
The sweat lodge. The sweat lodge is pretty much like a sauna, right?
better
We
than a
make it
sauna.
out of
that.
willow tree and blankets.
I'll
What we do
come
is
as
we
long
just
as you
dig a
guys
fire.
show me where the sweet One Nation pussy is.
Mm.
Mm,
Go to the
I don't want
reserve.
no Canadian. Yeah, I want to go on the reserves and hit up Craigslist.
Go door to
and we
door.
don't even know it.
So I see in the comment section they're talking about Thailand and Cambodia and Indonesia that there's now more and more channels talking about Westerners moving to those nations. I'm not a snake oil salesman. I'll tell you the nitty gritty, and I'm sure AM would tell you the same thing. Don't do it. It's blown up now. There's too many white people in those countries, and the cost of living is going up, and they're being pulled out of poverty. So whatever, if you think you're gonna get like a hot little 18-year-old to sleep and cook you breakfast and stuff, those days are kind of you're about 20 years too late
back, guys.
because all their quality of life is increasing, and obviously with the quality of life increasing, prostitution goes away. All right, because now they have money. They don't have to resort to prostituting themselves to white people to pull themselves up. So those days are long gone. I know more and more YouTube channels are promoting it and stuff. I can tell you that it's not what it used to be. You're about 20 years too late.
I wouldn't say 20. I'd say even 10. 10 years.
Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, 20 years was amazing in Thailand. For Cambodia, it was 10. Vietnam has never really been part of that genre of group of countries where white guys can go and settle.
Okay, I'm back, guys.
Okay.
But it's not what you think it is. What you think, one man's version of paradise might be different to another's. So there's a lot of problems with moving to those countries. You're dealing with a very foreign culture. You need to learn to speak their language. You need to know their history. You cannot be a fly on a wall in someone else's country. It's very stupid. It's very ignorant and arrogant of you to do something like that. You can't just show up, getting off the plane and think you're just gonna do what you want and bang women and live the lifestyle. Yeah, it is a bachelor's paradise for sure, but you need to put things into perspective and realize where you are and what it is you're doing.
Expatriatism is no joke, man.
It's true what you said, because there's a lot of Africans and pretty much people that come from different countries like Syria. They just, there's a flock of them that came around here, right? And it seems like they could try to take over the city, like they have an advantage.
Well, there's the immigrants that are coming over here, they remain flies on the wall. They hang out with their own kind. They don't integrate. They
Well,
work and they make.
that's what I've noticed, that they do try to like fit in or something, but like the language barrier, right, and the skin color, it kind of sheds them.
Yeah, you won't accept them as one of your own, and
Yeah.
my girlfriend, regardless of anything, she would never still embrace me as one of her own. I have one buddy, a former coworker of mine. He has 4 Khmer kids. He speaks the language fluently, and he hears the family talking shit about him while he's in the room, and he responds to them in their language. You guys are talking shit about me. And they're like, no, we're not. Just shut up, Whitey. You don't know what's going on, and pay no mind to us and what we're saying. So it's not what you think it is, and you're in for a rude awakening if you plan on loading up money and moving over there and think it's going to be this paradise. It's not.
Like,
Well,
they like they they don't understand, like it's like you feel dominant in their
Right, you're being
environment.
racist.
Yeah, well, not racist, but kind of just like a little too nice.
Colonial. You think you're Mr. Mr. Pam Jack, Panama Jack, kind of moving to another country, thinking who the fuck you are and stuff. And I call it the little Caesar complex. I experienced that a lot in Cambodia, where I'm the white guy, I'm the big fish in a small pond. And carry even myself. I got that way to a point, and I kind of kept it in check. But now what you're doing is you're competing with other white people to be the big fish, and that's where a lot of expats don't get along with other expats, because then it becomes a hierarchy on who's been here longer. Well, I've been here 10 years. Well, I've been here 5 years. Oh well, it becomes a complete mess after a while.
my advice would be, don't go to expect paradise. But if you got nothing else going for you and you just want to get away and you just want to disappear,
Yeah, check it out. But understand, it's a pause in your life, because what
or
you've
just
done
go there
is
to die.
pause.
Go there to die.
Or go there to die. I mean, okay. If you're gonna go there and die, now mind you, they're gonna take pictures of your dead body, put it up on Facebook. Okay, it's gonna be on the news. It's gonna be a horrible picture of you with you shit your pants. You died of eating a bad
But
fish.
nobody in your own home country is gonna see it. Nobody's gonna see
I don't. I think people do see it, man. If you search the internet, you get pictures of foreigners dead all the time, and they laugh about it. Oh, look, this foreigner dead. He ate bad fish. Oh, and you become a social pariah
Well,
and a butt of a joke.
yeah, there was when I was living in Bali, the last year before I left back here, there was a French national who was actually like a fighter, an MMA fighter.
Oh, you were there for that?
Yeah, I was there, man. It happened like.
He went out. He went out like a champ.
Yeah, man. They just got gunned down by the
Game
cops.
over. Game over, man. As he kept game over. That's all he kept saying.
Yeah, he was having some kind of role and causing a lot of noise, so the cops ended up coming, and he just kept making noise and kept being loud and belligerent, and the cops just said, okay. They pulled out the guns and shot him to death.
What? Well, he took like 20 bullets, man, to take him down. He killed a cop in the process.
No,
but he was being he was being a loudmouth, arrogant piece of shit.
Yeah, he didn't kill a cop. The cop said that he stabbed another cop, but that's bullshit, man. They're lying. He didn't do
Well, he shouldn't have been there. And again, you go off the rafters. Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now, that really does happen to a very large segment of the expat community in Cambodia.
The guy didn't hurt a cop at all. It was bullshit. That was just a story they tell the media. Because it's fucking Indonesia, man. And if the cops don't like you, they'll fucking shoot you.
I'm just looking in the comment sections, and Brock here said, "Can anyone do a GIF?"
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
I'm thinking if it's a film festival or Brock here say something.
I have no idea what a GIF is.
Look, I mean, there was some really cool, there were some really great things about living in Cambodia, and there's some really not so great things about living in
Do they do Thai
Cambodia.
boxing
Um,
do they do Thai boxing in Cambodia?
yeah, they have their own version of it.
They
Muay Thai. They have their own
Yeah,
version of Muay
They
Thai.
tie ropes on their hands, right?
Yeah,
That's
I'm not too. I honestly didn't. I did not go to one Cambodian kickboxing match. I regret not going to one now that I look back on it. I mean, there's a
why.
couple of things I should have did while I was there, but I didn't.
Well, you
It
should
didn't
have.
interest me. It didn't. You know, it didn't. It was kind of. It wasn't something I would. It's not something cool to me.
I did martial arts all my life, and that's one brutal sport. But I knew that in the Cambodia, wait, no, different. Thailand, Cambodia, they're not like neighbors, are they?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, they're neighbors. Okay, so the border fights were the more brutal ones, is what I heard. Because uh, Thai boxers in Thailand would uh, tape up and or put gauze on their hands and in the gloves, right? And then Cambodia, they do a rope around their hand like a hand wrap.
Hmm.
And and what I heard is that that's the most brutal fights in Cambodia, is because they go by Muay Thai rules, but they have different uh, uh different like the hand wraps with the rope.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
was
it's a big thing. Sunday mornings are that's when all the guys gather around the coffee shops and drink beers and watch it, and I hear them screaming and chanting and listening to it. Um, Look, I mean, living in Cambodia it was a really cool time. I miss it dearly, but you'd have to pay me a lot to go back. I mean, I'll go back when I'm much older, but now I wouldn't do it. You're
how old
battling.
are you?
It's an assault on all your senses. That's what I try telling people. It's an assault on your on sight. It's an assault on hearing,
Your
on
sanity.
tasting, on your sanity. I
Mm.
mean, when I first went as a tourist, my mind was just exhausted from the amount of things that I see just walking one block, walking a quarter of a mile, and my
Mhm.
mind is exhausted from all the sights and all the advertisements and all everything the chaos that's going on around me. And
They
for
don't
me,
have food.
that was really hard to get over.
They don't have food trucks. They have like food stands.
Stands and carts, man, and then they don't sanitize anything. They don't bleach. They don't know what
No, you're
Clorox
gonna get
is.
sick. You're gonna get sick.
You're gonna get. I
First
was sick
month,
at
you're gonna
least
get sick.
once a week.
Yeah, you're gonna get sick. It took me 2 years to adapt my stomach completely. 2 fucking years, man.
For
See,
what?
I don't even
To
think
adapt
my
to
stomach. I
for
don't
my
even think my
palate,
stomach adapted. Yeah, man, it's
for my
hard.
palate to
It's
adapt. In Indonesia, it took 2 years. Like the first 2 years I lived there, it I was getting sick all the time, all the time. It took 2 years, man. If you go as a tourist, you're gonna get sick. Done, and
well,
you're always gonna
Sovereign
be sick.
didn't. A Sovereign, when he visited me, I mean, I fed him shit. I made him. I tried to get him eat as much as the stuff that I ate. He didn't have a problem.
Oh, that's good.
Luckily for him,
Yeah, yeah.
but he, but I will say this: my immune system coming back to New York is much stronger, and a good example is my whole house caught pneumonia. And to show everybody how strong my immune system was, I took my little brother's spoon and I licked it, and I go, I'm not gonna get sick. And sure enough, I was the only one in a house of, I think there's like 6 or 7 people in my house. I did not get sick.
I bet
So
you
my immune system is much stronger. But mind you, that I probably did take at least a year to 2 years off my life being exposed
I
From
to.
bet you
outside.
all that good pizza that
Yeah,
I
no, you do. I do think when
eat.
you live in that type of environment, you did shed some type
Oh
of
yeah,
lifespan off of
yeah.
you.
So, like, is
And
uh, uh your thing? You eat a lot of Italian food, like spaghetti and
well, I couldn't get that while I was there, unfortunately. I
of course.
I did cook some Italian food while I was there, but obviously nothing compared to what I'm
Mhm.
eating now.
Okay, hey guys. On that note, we're gonna have to cut this off.
Aw.
Okay. Oh
Yeah,
no!
we,
What
this
are we
is,
going to do?
we're 3 hours deep,
You know,
and I got my kid still awake, and his cousin, my nephew's here. I got to get those guys. So
Aw.
I got to go to Soundgarden tonight and get a rich white woman now.
okay, good.
I have
All
the
right.
urge.
That was fun.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
Always.
guys. And again, thanks for watching, everybody, in the chats. And again, if anybody is interested in joining, please just send me a message on Google Hangouts. You know, it's under I Am Sirias, and then we can work something out. We'll be on again. We're trying to make this regular at night because, like I said before, we don't have social lives. We
just
We're gonna watch midget porn
yeah.
and
okay.
Huffalo.
All right,
We're gonna pound
compare-
Listerine. We're embrace some one nation culture now. Watch
Yeah,
some
that's right.
midget porn and Listerine drinking.
Yeah, join us
Nick, you're gonna
next
come up-
week for topics
I'm
such
coming.
as midget porn and drinking Listerine.
All right.
Okay, let's do that, and we'll compare our effects. You know, like if I start slurring, not make any sense, and if
Okay.
you don't hear from me, yeah, I'm drunk.
And if you can smell me through the headphones, just let me know.
Minty fresh breath.
Yeah.
All right. It's been fun.
Oh yeah.
Have a good
Thanks
night.
a lot,
Enjoy
guys.
the rest of your weekend.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
Oh,
See ya.
Yeah. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
You guys.